lost sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. And now when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I. Only you can put the fire out. You can turn it all around. You can lift me off the ground, so we can fly again, so we can fly again. Trying hard not to go out of my mind. And all I need right now is for you to stay the night. But if you keep saying that you've got to leave, then I'm gonna be alright. As long as you tell me that we ain't running out of time. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I. Only you can put my fire out. You can turn it all around. And you can lift me off the ground, so we can fly again, so we can fly again.
feet. Stand up, stand up. Come on, get loose with the heat. Right now, we go party till we black out. So get the fuck up.
So cover and duck, you're out of luck, we don't give up. Yeah, we're going up, next floor is us, you're riding with us.
We want you to get on your feet. Stand up, stand up. Come on, get loose with the heat. Right now, we go party till we black out. So get the fuck up.
got the chance to run, leave behind the said and done, figure out what's to come. Reasons, all the bigger things I can't ignore. I'm not getting what I came here for. Gotta get ahead of something more. So I think I found a new way out, way beyond a shadow of doubt. 'Cause I can't breathe, and I guess I could be stronger now, and leave it up to fate somehow. But I'm doing this for me. Give it up, baby, I'm not fooling anyone. Always going on and on. Can't you keep it to yourself for once? Oh, I think I found a new way out, way beyond your shadow of doubt. And I can't breathe. Oh, I hope you're keeping count of all the times you let me down, and all the things you said out loud, the bullshit I could cry about. And I know we could be stronger now, and leave it up to fate somehow. But everything I do for me.
I get lost sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. And now when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight, what a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I. Only you can put the fire out. You can turn it all around. You can lift me off the ground, so we can fly again, so we can fly again. Trying hard not to go out of my mind, and all I need right now is for you to stay the night. But if you keep saying that you've got to leave, then I'm gonna.
These championships, you look at the Monday night championship, 5 points separates the last race. This is as tight as ever. We're going to go live.
Right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Simplay Motorsport, your Thursday night Pro Series round 17 and 18 around the Le Mans Bugatti circuit. We've got 11 drivers out on track. A few missing tonight, a few at the Silverstone circuit. Not sure where Andy is tonight, and obviously Mo Guy still having PlayStation problems. But I'm Matthew Duffin, as always, in the commentary box with my partner in crime, Kelly Davis. Sweet and sticky in your box. How are you, Kelly?
I'm very well, Matt. Good evening all, and welcome to sunny Le Mans.
Beautiful weather tonight. Kelly, we've got some cracking racing in store for us tonight, haven't we? It's track limits, though, the big talking point of last night, and we're going to have to keep our eyes on them tonight.
Yes, indeed. But hey, they're different calibre of driver tonight, isn't it?
That's why they're the pro drivers, isn't it? Oh, we've got Andy in. Oh, brilliant. We've got Andy in. So brilliant to see then. So we have got everybody who is available on the track with us tonight. Yes, sunny Le Mans, obviously very historic for the Le Mans 24-hour circuit, the outer part of this track. It takes you through the start straight and the final corner and the first couple of corners, and then it brings you to this tight and twisty infield circuit, Kelly, that you were saying off air is very difficult to overtake on.
Yeah, well, two factors that are going to come into play this evening, and again, let's see what the Pro Boys can do with this. One, it's incredibly difficult to overtake, and two, it's very low grip, or seems to be. Do you know what I mean? We've all, it's only a handful of people that I've spoke to that like this track at all. Most people don't like it, and it's probably that's why it is low grip, especially the last sector seems to be particularly slippery. So but as I said, we're on pro tonight, so as I said, this is, these boys can walk this.
These boys can walk this, and two people we need to keep our eyes on. They need a performance, has struggled in the last couple of weeks, and one of them is this man Disco, qualified strong at Sugo 2 weeks ago. In this BMW in the wet weather, if you remember rightly, back to Sugo in the Pro, it was horrendous, but the tyre pressures was his problem in the race, and he couldn't get round the corners. He needs a result tonight. The other one is Andy, who's just got in, struggled these last couple of weeks in the Ginetto, as we've lost Phil. We've plenty of time to get Phil back in, but he struggled of recently as Andy in the Ginetto. These two really need a result tonight.
Yes, they do, and I'm waiting for Disco to have his Simplay win, so he can explain why it's Disco McDisco face. So still waiting for that. So I'm rooting for Disco tonight. Want to find out what that's all about. Like to see him do well. But yes, also Andy in the Ginetta. We'll see how the Ginetta fares round here as well. It's been a bit of a mixed bag as the Ginetta. It's been strong at some circuits where we didn't expect it to be, and then not so good in others, as Andy seems to have stopped and gone in the pits for whatever reason. Who else we think? Well, we've got the usual suspects, haven't we? Jamie Brazier, he's going to look good for a good evening this evening. Unorthodox, all in the championship fight. And of course, we've got 2 times champion Gary 131 desperately trying to hold on to that title with some real contenders. Giving him a run for his money.
Some real contenders really giving him a run for his money. Jamie Brazier still got to take his double points, and is only 70 points off the title lead, so he can really bring himself back into contention when he takes his double points. There are 2 drivers taking them. We'll tell you who they are in race 2, as there is 4 drivers left. So 5 drivers left to take their double points, and bearing in mind the latest they can take their double points is next week at Laguna. But Gary hunting for his 3rd title in a row. Jamie and Dan trying to hunt him down. D-Biggs would have been there, but he's sadly at Silverstone. I say sadly. He's missing the race, but good for him because he's there. I say sadly because I'm missing Silverstone as well now after certain circumstances. But
I'll be there tomorrow.
Have a great weekend.
5 or 6 hours in the car. That'll be mine. Yeah.
have a great weekend. But
hopefully.
It's going to be interesting tonight. Rabbit Joe, what can he do? And Welshie, we've not seen the best from them two this season. Obviously, Joe made that step up from Pro-Am last year with Monkey Boy and that Bozzy Boy. What can Joe do? What can the Acoras do? As always, and one thing to note as well tonight, with no D-Biggs, Gary and Little each have a chance tonight to really put pressure on Dan and maybe close that gap of 62 points in the Constructors title to make them 3 times Constructors champions. While we say about the tables, let's go to them. Unorthodox leads the championship fight, 275 points, 3 points ahead of his teammates and Gary 131, so it is that close. 3 points separate the top 3. Lidleach is then 4th, 62 behind. Jamie 5th place, 70 points behind, but has a lot of work to do. Big Boy Monkey Boy is on 138 points, 6 points ahead of his teammate Peaceful Explosion. Emo Guy down in P8. He's dropped out of the championship at the moment due to PS4 problems. That Bozzy Boy is 9th, but will he drop a few places tonight, missing out? Rabbit Joe is then in 10th with Disco in 11th. on 84, 3 points ahead of Sooty Apex. Philly's down in 13th place with Welchie in 14th and Andy down in 15th place then in the Drivers' Championship. In the Constructors, it's Shake and Bake Motorsport who lead the way, 62 points clear of the Leachy Legends. Iron Brew Racing are then in 3rd place and are only 27 points ahead of GQ Motorsport, 33 points ahead of GQ Motorsport, so can be caught by the 2 Mercedes-Benz cars tonight. The Class of 97 then sit in 5th place with Straight Line Racing in 6th. Run Flat Racing are in 7th with Simplay Racing down at the bottom. Straight Line, Run Flat and Simplay are mathematically out of the Constructors' Championship, and it's only Keegs who's out of the Drivers' Championship, but a few more could drop out of that title fight as of yet. But going into the final 4 weeks, where the Pro-Am last night, there was only about 8 drivers that could still mathematically win the title. There is only in the Pro, there is still all 15 drivers mathematically able. That'll obviously change a bit tonight, but it just shows how tight the Pro is going into these final 4 weeks.
Yes, indeed. So still all to play for, totally. As we
see people in the chat, we say a good evening to Rabbit Joe, Ian Thompson, Kelly Davis, you're there, Daniel Francis, Smithy, that Bozzy Boy, aka Liam, Disco, Dean Wasaki, Gary 131, Little Each is there as well. Liam saying, what about me? I'm at Silverstone, crying face. Yeah, you missed today though, didn't you? So it don't really count. Stuck in traffic and then your car broke down. What a shame.
Well, yeah, indeed. What are you watching on, Liam? You watching on your phone? Let me know. In your hotel room.
We're on board, Jamie, here, and I tell you what, from the practice I've seen over the 2 weeks, and let's just say, for those who wondered where we was last week, we had to postpone because there was a football event on, and England didn't even win it. So I mean, that was a waste of time, wasn't it?
Well, it suited me, to be fair, because I was DJing a wedding this time last week, so it kind of suited me. I didn't miss out on commentating on the action. So well done, England.
Yeah. Well done, England, and well done to Italy for winning the tournament. And a fellow man who says grazie when he crosses the line in Sooty Apex. I'm sure he was very... Good
old Italian boy.
Yeah, very proud of the Italians for winning that. I know I was, and that may be an unpopular opinion in the chat, but I was very ecstatic Sunday night when Italy won the Euros. But we're on board Jamie Brazier here. The pace I've seen of this man over the last 2 weeks looks phenomenal. Now, it's all right doing the pace in testing. You've got to do it on the night. Can he do it tonight? Can he hold that pressure? Can he hold his nerve and provide it on the big stage? Because tonight and the next 4 weeks could bring him back into title contention here.
Yes, indeed. And the man leading at the moment, he's in 2nd place. The only 2 men in the 35s at the moment. Did we see a 35 last night? If we did, it was probably only Fury who done it.
I don't think we did. I think it was low 36s.
We saw a couple of 36s, and certainly something I never bothered getting anywhere near at any point. But we saw a couple of 36s, although there was some issues on track limits with those as well. So these boys staying within the track limits. But the only 2 guys in the 35s. Are we seeing a 34 tonight? It's highly probable. Highly probable with Jamie Brazier. Only 4 tenths off of the 34s here. Dan currently 4 tenths behind Jamie, and I mean, 4 tenths a lap. That is some pace from Jamie at the minute. Look at Rabbit Joe so far, up in P6, so he's having a decent running. We've said a couple of weeks now that Gary's a bit of a sandbag man in practice. Well, he's not. If he's hiding pace, he's not hiding that much because he's only 1.5 off the back of the leader. So I think Gary's now got to go from hiding his pace to making sure that he kind of scares the title contenders and go, bang, this is what I can do, now match it. Well, yes, whichever your theory is on how you go about it, that's, whatever, you know. I mean, I thought last night, I thought, sandbag in practice a little bit, and then I couldn't help myself. I just went as fast as I could, you know, which I don't know, I think I was 3rd or 4th or something in practice or whatever. It was, I did think about it, but I just went out. It's like, you just go out and you go, no, I want to go faster. You know? Liam's watching on the laptop, Kelly, to answer your question. Liam's on the laptop, right. So he's... I feel better now, I know that. If you're in the hotel, same room as your mum, get your mum watching. Tell her to subscribe, like the video. Absolutely, yeah. Let's hear from Liam's mum, shall we? Even if she does it on your account, just say hello and be nice to hear from you.
Liam, it's nice. I bet it's nice for you to see some cars going around the track, isn't it, today? Since you make it so. I only just.
You're such a wind-up
You'll see
merchant, aren't you?
He'll see plenty this weekend. What's he on about? He'll see plenty this
You're
weekend.
only bitter, Matt. That's all you are. You're only bitter.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Rabbit Joe. Oh, well recovered.
Yeah, well saved. Oh, Dan's improved. That's down to 2.5 temps now between Dan and Jamie. So obviously only a practice session. 9 minutes left of this session. So at the minute, Jamie's doing a 1:35.4. It means diddly squat at the moment because it's only practice, and he could bin it in the qualifying. Rabbit Joe has actually gone P4 just before he lost the car there. So good pace from Joe at the minute tonight.
Yeah, the Porsche's going well. It's only Jamie who's going quicker than Porsche's at the moment. Other than that, it's 1 to 5 or 2 to 5.
No. Disco third in a BMW.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon, Disco. What am I talking about? Yeah, Disco's in the pits at the moment. Feels like he doesn't need any further practice. But yeah, no, the Porsche's still going quite well this evening. Who's the fastest Merc? Would be Peaceful at the moment. The Merc's. Hello. The Mercs having a good showing last night. They were going really well in the Pro-Am last night, but we got a few more of them in the Pro-Am, haven't we?
We have. There's a few more Mercs in the Pro-Am, and Peaceful, or as he will be known. Do you know the stupid thing is, Kelly, is he said the other day, I can't even blame you and Kelly anymore, because the minute, I think it was Monday night in the GT5s, I think the minute Liam and Jamie mentioned his name, he span. So he says... It's not even when you and Kelly do it anymore. It's just anybody that talks about me when I race, I spin. So we wish him the best of luck tonight, and his teammate Monkey Boy, who's further down the order as well. And we wish this man well, Welshie.
Yeah, of course we do. Yeah, absolutely. I do like the colour of that, the livery of the blue livery. It's very nice. I might have that one next year. Maybe we'll see.
Stay in the poll.
Could you try and find somebody to go on board with? Who's where's Disco now? Dan, where's Dan?
No, he's already gone through a couple of corners.
Gary.
No.
Gary's just... watch that, Gary. You were talking about that in the chat yourself last night. Don't be doing that in a race now, will you? We're always watching. Always watching. Little Leach has smashed his up already, look.
Can we see who's behind Little Leach? Who is that? That's Peaceful. Oh, there we go. Let's go on Peaceful and do a lap with Peaceful.
Oh, no, I've got to find him out. Right, Peaceful. We're going to have a lap. I'm trying to go on board, come out of the last corner, straighten it all up out of the last corner. A bit tricky the last corner. We'll come back to that. Anyway, down the main straight. This is the proper Le Mans circuit. Now, if you're good, you'll be flat through here. Got a Nakora coming out in the way. Let's see if he goes flat. Pretty much. The Pro-Am boys are having a bit of a comfort lift through there, or that's what I was calling it, just to keep the back end together. Chicane, tricky through there, easy to cut across it, don't do it. Come down the hill here, tricky braking zone. Get on the brakes, pull the car into the apex. Don't worry about it, Peaceful, you weren't anywhere near it. As you get halfway round, you wait and then hit the accelerator hard. You're into the infield section now, come across to the right, hit your braking point, pick the apex up on the left-hand side, that's a boy, and then accelerate hard. Run it right to the edge of the track. It's a bit of a short straight now, down to a double right-hander, come right across to the left-hand side. Hit the brakes now, down a couple of gears. Don't worry about the first apex, but try and pick up the second one. That's it, perfect, and hits the accelerator down the left-hand side. Come across the track to the right-hand side for the fast chicane that's coming up next, left and right. Again, easy one to outbrake yourself. Hit the brakes, make sure you get it all slowed down before you turn. Hit the apex, come across, pick up the apex on the other side, out to the left and accelerate hard. Another tricky corner, all kind of low grip, on camber this one. Banked up lovely, tuck it into the apex. This one off camber slightly, but not too much of a problem. The last two corners, lots of time to be had here. Down a couple of gears, hit the apex, don't run out wide. Tuck the apex, a little bit of curb to stop you running wide. Oh, and Peaceful. That's exactly what I was talking about. That last corner is really quite crucial for, one, to get a good run out of it and down the start straight, and two, it's quite tight there.
We saw a few drivers do the same thing last night, didn't we, where you want the good exit, but you don't want to run too far over the curb because you're in the gravel. I think we saw yourself in practice or qualifying hit the wall, and that's one outcome. The other outcome is what Peaceful did, and quite a few drivers did it last night themselves, where they'd hit that last curb and lose the rear and go around. I mean, he couldn't have spun it in a better place. It was the end of the lap. It wasn't like it was halfway through. We had to find another driver.
Well, no, absolutely, but yeah, it's tricky that last corner.
Oh!
Another one that was suffering with corner
Dan's
code.
gone quickest with a 1:35.2, 2/10 quicker than
get
Jamie
on.
Brazier at the minute. So
Game on.
with 4.5 minutes left of the practice session, where has Dan found a bit of time? What has he sacrificed in places, or what's he gained in other places to find the time? Has he just been able to? Obviously,
He's hooked it up. Maybe he's just hooked it up.
do you know the thing that a lot of people aren't on all the time to do the testing, or if they're on, they're doing their own sort of testing? Maybe that bit of slipstream, because the start straight from final corner to the next braking zone is very long. So maybe just that bit of slipstream is able to find him a couple of tenths if he has used that.
Maybe so. And I was just going to say, we love being on board with Little Leach because he's one of the great drivers, but the front end of those Porsches, when it's damaged, is just offensive to look at, and I hate looking at it. You know, so...
I tell you what I don't hate looking at.
His brother... Sorry?
I tell you what I don't hate looking at, and that's a car down in 9th and 11th.
What, the Acura? Yeah, look at it. Look at it. It's got all the styling of a house brick, isn't it? You know?
It's lovely, that, isn't it?
Look at it. Yeah. Anyway, before I nod off, let's look at something else. Mind you, I'm not a big fan of the Merc either, so a Beamer. That's what we need. Not enough Beamers in our lives, is there? You know, not that I'm a great Beamer fan either, to be fair.
Just go back to the Porsche.
Back to the Porsche. I usually like a Volkswagen or related type stuff, you know, so, anyway. But Disco doing a good job there in third place. I mean, he's a second and a bit off the ultimate pace. So looks like Gary Jamie and Dan are in a bit of a league of their own. But let's not get too excited about this. This is practice. You know?
Now let's not forget to mention here, Kelly, as well, that although it is practice, but Dan has worked hard today to get here onto the grid, because there was a possibility that Dan was at a wedding, and there was a possibility that Dan wasn't able to get to the grid. So Dan has obviously tried to pull a few strings. I hope he's had a lovely day at the wedding. I hope the wedding was probably beautiful as always, and he's managed to get himself back on. The dedication of the man to win the championship, wants to beat Gary 131, to get himself out on the grid. And like you say, although he's quickest at the minute, qualifying comes around in the next 2 minutes, so we'll see what his pace is like then.
I know for a fact that the wedding was at a venue called Tregenna Castle in St Ives, just on the outskirts of St Ives, a lovely, lovely hotel. I've worked there.
There's peaceful as well. Peaceful.
Nice jump from Andy as well. There's a rally course there.
There's a bump there. The Wall in the chat. Evening, Matt and Kelly. Well, good evening to the Wall.
Hello, mate. Good evening. So I would have said that it's and just at the moment, Cornwall is not a cloud in the sky and is about 25, 27 degrees, something like that. So dragging himself away from that wedding does take devotion, because I'd be sitting having a beer looking over St Ives myself.
Well, there we go. And is it nice? Is it a nice place?
Beautiful, really beautiful. I mean, St Ives is a nightmare in the summer. Us Cornish stay away from it. But as I said, it's just on the outskirts, looking over St Ives. The view is just absolutely stunning.
Well, there we go. I tell you
what, he dragged himself away to stare at a screen.
Yeah, brilliant. And, committed as ever to get that championship won. I tell you what we've got here, based off these times at the minute, Kelly. We've got from 3rd to 8th a very tight midfield pack here, and then you've kind of got 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th in their own little battle, and the front two in their own battle. But you've got a very tight midfield pack, half a second separating 3rd to 8th. So we'll see what happens. Disco in the chat. If my mate messages me, I feel I'm going to miss race 1. Oh, what a shame. He did say before we came on air that his friend's dropping something off. He should be here about 8 o'clock-ish, and that obviously hasn't worked out for him. Little Each out qualifying.
Tell your mate just leave it in the porch or something.
Chuck it over the fence.
Yeah. Do like a courier driver and just leave it in the front garden.
Yeah, put it under the dustbin.
Yeah. That's what they do, innit?
Yeah, well.
Ish.
Yeah. Just tell him to lob it through window. Who needs windows? It's too hot in summer anyway. Little Leach is out doing his out qualifying, out practicing his brother at the moment, as the session has 6 seconds left of it. A few of the guys in the pits, they're not going to get any more laps in. They may come out the pits for maybe a few tweaks just to test them before the session is done, but the session has now finished, and Andy will be the first of the drivers to finish the session, then followed by Peaceful and Monkey Boy in the background there, and there's a couple of cars at the start of their lap. There'll probably be Dan and Jamie and And Phil and Welshie down at the beginning of the lap, and Big Boy Brazier as well. But look at that, big twitch. 900, just short of a tenth separate Dan and Jamie. So it is close.
Very close indeed. What we haven't mentioned is the pit lane entry, because the pit lane entry and exit actually. Pit lane entry is 180 degrees. It's before the last two corners, so it kind of is a 180 degree turn and kind of mimics the last two corners, but tighter. Yeah. Very easy to spin it round in the pit lane and end up being all over the place. So look out for that. Peaceful went fourth in the end. That's a good showing from Peaceful. And the exit bleeds straight into the start-finish straight, as it would, but just before the first corner. And the first corner is very easy to get caught out on. It's as Fury did last night. He led, what was it, 18 laps and then lost it. Yeah. Lost it on the very last lap because he got up on the curb and lost the back end and spun it round. So look out for turn one.
And look at Jamie Brazier at the very death, taking the lead by 7/100ths of a second. We are in for a battle tonight, so be sure to check out that one. That is your practice standings then. We go live to the qualifying session right now as we are about to get underway. 10 minutes, 10 short minutes in which the drivers have got to get themselves out there and they've got to get them laps in. Smithy, Jamie's is quick in a real go-kart as well as on this, and Liam saying all this race we will need is a certain someone to roll into a championship leader. That's based off of what happened. If those who don't know what happened, it was found out afterwards that Gary at Suga was battling Jamie and then all of a sudden dropped off Jamie, and Little Leach and Dan was catching Gary. It was because he was carrying 55 front aero damage because Liam rolled into Gary as he'd had a spin and rolled backwards into him instead of holding onto the brakes.
There you go.
So, yeah, there you go. So everybody coming out. No Phil out or Peaceful, Gary or Sutty at the moment. As we wait for them to come out, there is the 10-minute qualifying this year, and you'll know better than me. Obviously, you race on the Wednesday night. Oh, it's Dan. Dan, I tell you what, mush. He's lucky he didn't hit Disco there, because that would have took him back to the pit lane. As we're already a minute into the race. You know better than me about the 10-minute qualifying. Obviously, we commentated a lot last year in the Pro together on the 20 minutes. You know, you had a 20-minute session. You've kind of got time to go back to the pits, make a few tweaks. This 10-minute session, it's all or nothing. You haven't really got that time to fiddle with bits.
No, as Disco, he holds on to that just about. As Disco was going sideways. You haven't. You've got to get out there and get on with it. And especially this time of year, we're in hot conditions. So most who are sensible, will run the hard tyres. And certainly I find the hard tyres take a couple of laps to come good, to come right in the proper zone. Even with the temperatures high, you have to go out there and put a couple of laps on them before they really get into the zone that you can push on them. So, as I said, for me, I get straight out there and I don't mess about. I just bang in lap after lap after lap and just get in as many laps as I can. Fuel for 10 for about 8 laps and go out and do it, you know?
Bethany Ann Duffin, nice to see you tonight. Probably cheering on Gary as always after she supported you last night, Kelly. Hey all, sorry if you hear a boy child in the background. Yes, the nephew is round, so any noises or bangs, that will be the nephew who loves his course. But is only 1.5 and can't understand a lot of things at the minute. Right.
That's okay. I'm 50 and I don't understand that much more.
I mean, I'm 28 and I ain't got a clue.
Yep.
So.
Indeed. So nobody's put a lap in yet. I think Jamie's the first man on a lap. He was the first man out and round. So he's on a quick one now. I would have thought he's going to put a banker in. And you know, again, as the tyres come... I don't know what the Audi's like on its tyres. I don't think I've ever driven the car, so no doubt it'll. These guys will be trying to put a banker lap in first, because again, 10-minute qualifying, you ain't got time. You have a bit of damage, and you've got to get back in, change it back out, get tyres up to temperature. It takes its toll. So. They'll be wanting to put a banker lap in as Monkey Boy takes the Pro-Am line there through the chicane. And
Disco's back into the pits, Kelly. So already nearly half the session gone. And Disco McDisco face back into the pits. So that is not what he will be wanting, and he wants to get out there on the track. You love a stat, Kelly. Let me give you a few stats for you. You love a stat. Qualifying statistics. Qualifying statistics. The best average qualifying in Q1 is a P3. And that falls in the way of Big Boy Brazier, the best average qualifier in Q1. The worst average qualifier, Welshie, of only 13th place. Well, he can only start 12th here, so maybe he might up his average a little bit. There is 3 drivers tied with 4 pole positions on this grid. Gary 131, Andy and Big Boy Brazier all have 4 pole positions between them, as Dan currently setting the fastest lap at the moment, over 35.697. Gary 131, he averages 5th place. With Unorthodox, he averages 5th place as well. So get the 2 title contenders at the minute, with D-Biggs not here, both averaging 5th place. This may surprise a few of you. Dan has only had 1 pole position this season, and that was in the race 2 race at Hockenheim, because he couldn't qualify for race 1 and didn't make it through the pack. So that may surprise a few people, that Dan has only had 1 pole this season. Peaceful Stepdad, noisy kids are normally it's the quiet ones you have to worry about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was never a problem. I was loud as. So, yeah, they're quite true. So, first blood goes to Dan with a 135.6. Jamie Brazier a second behind, but I said, I don't take those first laps as Jamie's in the pits. So, what's going on with Jamie? Is he had a bit of a problem? I can't tell much from that view. But he's off out again, so I wonder if he's had a bit of problems there. Where's Gary in all this? Still going round. I presume he's on a quick one.
Gary's not set a lap. Sutty's just came out the pits as well, so it's not the lap. It's not the time that Sutty would have wanted. Look at Peaceful just behind Gary, benefiting of a bit of slipstream maybe up his time as Dan improves that little bit more. Couple of tenths there from Dan to just take that gap, extend his gap to Big Boy Brazier even further. Jamie may be lucky to get 2 flying laps in here and really have to push hard. Andy, Joe, Disco, Gary, Sutty, all not set a lap, but we're on board Gary 131 now, who's going to try his best to get one set at this moment in time. The nephew's just running right behind me at the moment.
Welcome back, Gary.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah, sandbagging again. Sandbagging in practice again. I think so.
Could be. Could well be. He puts in a second, still 3/4 of a second off the pole time, and not into the 35s yet. But Gary's awake now. Look out.
Yeah, so, putting himself right up there with Dan and Jamie, the 2 people he needs to be around. Peaceful as well. He's 4th, not far off the back of Big Boy Brazier. Can he maybe improve by a couple of tenths as this session goes on? Jamie is the man we're going to have to watch. He's going to have to be on an absolute charge at the end of this session. He should now.
He's slowing. What's he up to?
Is he still on his outlap at the moment? I wonder.
I don't know. It took him neck end of 4 minutes to put in his first flying lap, as in from the beginning of the session. It was nearly 4 minutes to get round and get his first lap up and done. So that's the kind of time deficit you're going to have to, starting back from the pits and whatever. So I don't know. It's hard to tell. I don't think this is a quick one. He was on off the throttle down the straight.
That's Monkey Boy.
That was Monkey Boy. Just a visible marker, just to say where the track is. So is this one Jamie's flyer now? Let's see.
Has to be. Has to be this one or the next one. He's got to make sure he's doing it at the minute. So far, he's 3rd. He's put in a heck of a banker lap to get himself 3rd place. Peaceful, Gary, Rabbit Joe and Welshie was in the pits. Welshie's now Welshie and Peaceful are the only 2 in. Gary and Rabbit Joe are back out on track. Can Gary find any more time to get into that 35s? What can he do here? Big Boy Brazier, though, has got to put in some lap this time or next time round. He's only going to get 2 runs at this, Kelly. And that is a Unorthodox in the Shake and Bake Motorsport Porsche just in front of him that could play a little bit of havoc with Jamie's lap here.
He could do. That's not normally Dan's style, though, is it, Mr. Gentleman? No. He's
we say Mr. Gentleman. This season, he's kind of, since Donington Park, he's kind of been elbows out and wanted to make sure that he gets the job done and make sure that he gets everything out the way and make sure that his fight is with the guys at the front and not the Pete getting into incidents.
Yes, indeed. You're not wrong, but as I say, I still don't think Dan would.
I don't.
Would play
seems
those
very
kind of
loose
games.
That Porsche. I don't know about you. Seems very loose that Porsche through that chicane there, didn't it?
they're all seem to be very loose on this track, especially this last sector. It's so slippery. So I mean, it's Xmart was saying, and he was driving the Merc with a race win and a what did he have, fourth last night in a race win. He was saying he feels like driving in the wet. You know, it seems to be such a low grip surface. What does Jamie do?
Go second, 3/10 off the back of unorthodox, and this one has got to be the one for Jamie. I've seen him in the 34s in testing. He's not been near the 34, well, a couple of tenths off them, but he's not been there tonight. He's got to get a couple of tenths out the bag. Dan was doing kind of like an outlap. He's also going to be on it, so Jamie will finish before unorthodox, so it is going to be them two to finish. And is that Gary just behind the pair of them?
Yeah, and just throwing a spanner in the works is Andy, who's done is the only other man who's got into the 35s right now. So great lap from Andy there. He's pulled that one out of the bag to put it in the 35s. So we'll see now. It's a shootout, isn't it? And
well, look at the lads, Kelly, on the track who's going to finish. Jamie, Dan, then Gary, the three title rivals at the moment. Jamie, you may say, is out of it, but with his double point still to take, he's very much in this. Disco Face is in the pits. He's then just put in the track traffic, so the traffic playing havoc with him getting a good time.
It's only 12, yeah. There's only 12 you on a 3-mile track.
How do you think the touring car guys feel around Brands Hatch Indy? 28 cars tried to get around a 50-second lap circuit. Andy's pulled it back into the pit, so he is done. Here then, Jamie coming towards the end of his lap. He's going to be the first man to set one of his laps. To set the final lap of the session is now complete. Is Jamie up on his time? Is he going to complete anything else to get this one done? 2 corners to go. Can Jamie do it?
It's hard to tell. I don't know if this was quicker or not. We are about to find out right about now. And he does. He goes quicker.
Wow. So, yeah, down into the 34s. And
but Dan
answers
goes
back.
Quicker again.
So Dan answers straight back with a 1/10 of a second gap. Gary only goes into third, but there's 3/10 of a second separating the top 3. Heck of a drive so far from these. That is Dan's second pole position of the season. Provisional at the minute. There is still Joe and Peaceful on the track.
Rabbit Joe, put it into 5th. That's a fair shout, isn't it?
That is a great qualifying from himself. Great effort there. Gary 1-3-1 then starts third. Peaceful brings it into the pit, so that is going to be qualifying done. So Gary third. Little Each will start 7th. Peaceful in 6th. That's not bad from him. Andy P4, good qualifying. Jamie though didn't have his pace from practice to take that pole position time, and that will put a big smile on Unorthodox's face.
Well, you better change your stat book, because it's now Unorthodox with 2 pole positions to his name, and this one in a race 1 position as well. So on pure pace. You say, where was Jamie's pace? But he's only a 10th behind, and they're both in the 35. So epic effort from both of them.
Great effort, great effort from both of them. But don't forget Gary and Andy. Andy only just short of 6/10 off the back, and Gary just short of 4/10 off the back. Great effort from the top 4. So it's Unorthodox from Big Boy Brazier down to Gary, Andy, Rabbit Joe, Peaceful, Little Each Disco, Monkey Boy Phil, Welshie, then Sooty. So Welshie improving on the final run to out-qualify Sooty in this one then, and that is not a bad effort so far.
You've got to feel for Jamie. You've got to feel for Jamie, haven't you? Must have come up on his screen, P1, boom, and then within a second and a half, boom, you're knocked down. It must be it's soul destroying, isn't it?
And the thing is as well, Kelly, is with them being that close together on the track, that Dan would have saw Gary in his mirror, so he's like, well, Jamie's just gone P1, I've then just gone quicker. What's he doing behind me? Because I could easily drop to second in a minute. And luckily for Dan, Gary crossed the line and didn't drop to second. But with all 3 of their title contenders in that close on the track in qualifying, that makes it so much more exciting.
Absolutely, and I mean, good effort from these guys, and exciting stuff for sure. But the race is a different ball game. And anything can happen, and we've seen it so many times before. Do you know what I mean, in sim racing, that this is we've got all the championship contenders at the front, but anything could happen.
Anything could happen, and as it so much does at times around here in Simplay, anything does happen. Wall. Disco Face, as always, practice gives me an unexpected pace. Get to quali, it's nowhere. Oh, Dan, what a finish in quali, says the Wall. Daniel Francis, fantastic times, quicker than us, and we were cutting corners, sticking out his tongue.
That's why they're pros, mate. That's why they're
that
pros.
Buzzy boy, each like means an extra lap I get to see of the F1 on Sunday. So what, you're only watching
laps.
15 laps then going out?
I was going to say, well,
Wow.
yeah, I intend to watch the lot.
Yeah. I mean,
dear.
yeah. So if we dislike it, does that mean you're not watching any laps? No, don't dislike the video. Keep the thumbs up coming. We appreciate that. And keep
absolutely.
the subscriptions as well, though. Guys are syncing up. All 12 drivers will start. Just to note, Rabbit Joe will make his 50th appearance in race 2. But we're away now. I think Dan's jumped the start.
Right. There was certainly a flyer, that's for certain, sure.
I think he's jumped that.
We will see, but everyone. Oh, look, Gary and Jamie.
Look at Joe. Wow, what a start he's had. Disco Joe, Peaceful.
Gone.
Disco Joe and Peaceful all round at turn 1. What a shame for them guys. Andy then up to 3rd. Gary got a bit of a slide coming through turn 1 and 2, so he's dropped back to 4th. Monkey Boy's now up there. The two Akoras and Sooty are up there. But Joe, after what was a cracking start, I think he did a bit of a fury as well. There goes round as well.
Yes, indeed, and I was telling myself all night, don't overtake in turn 1, don't overtake in turn 1. It usually ends up in tears, and it did for Disco, that's for certain sure. Dan not picked up the penalty yet.
It doesn't. The drive-throughs don't show on our screen, so we won't know until they come into the pits. It's quite frustrating, that one, but at the minute, we're not sure if Unorthodox has a penalty or not. I think he jumped that start. He went. There's like a buzzer noise, isn't there, as the lights go out. I think he went a little bit too early.
Hard to tell. He did have a cracking start. I'm going to make no judgments on it until we know. Because
right. Well, I tell you what. I've just loaded Dan's stream up on my phone. He doesn't have a drive-through penalty, so I take it back. What a start from Unorthodox.
There you go. Us Davis's start well. Did you see my start?
I did see your start. Commented on it. It was a fantastic start. I've just loaded his stream up on my mobile phone to see if he does have a drive-through. Nothing on his screen. So Dan gets away brilliantly. I was certain he went before the noises and he jumped the start, but he's timed that to perfection. Gary losing out to Andy at the moment, and this a track where the Ginetta could do well because the corners will suit the Ginetta. But look at the speed of the straight line.
Difference.
And as we head down towards turn 1, Gary passes Andy there. Then 3 people watching my personal stream, guys. Head over to Simplay Motorsport and watch it over there. Hit that thumbs up button as well. That's where all the fancy bits pop up on the screen. Andy actually come back at Gary.
Sorry, Matt. I think Gary went wide, and Andy come back at him a bit, but he's managed to keep it all together. And Gary's struggling a little bit, maybe having a problem getting those tyres up to temperature because Andy's still there with him, and he seems to be all over the track. Little Leach having a go at Andy now. He needs to support his brother as much as possible. Andy needs to get his head down and get back after these two. And Jamie is hunting Dan down. Dan may have had the initial jump, but Jamie's now on it, and he wants it. He wants that win. So it's game on at the front for sure.
It is game on at the front, and while ever these two are battling, Gary could do with getting his head down, pulling away from that Ginetta. As we saw, though, back at Spa, the Ginetta is very capable of keeping with the Porsches in the slipstream, because Andy did it with D-Biggs and Dan at Spa, if you remember rightly. Took the race win. Gary wants to get his head down and get onto the back of Jamie and Dan, as them two will try and squabble through the start here. At the moment, Jamie then looking all over. Liam in second place. I must be having a dream, but Jamie all over the back of Dan, and he's looking this way and that way to try and make the move, and he's looking racy, these two are. As Dan there, did that car just twitch a little as if it was like
I think it was lag, actually. I thought it was a little bit of lag. If I must be honest, Dan looked a bit laggy on the start grid, and look, Jamie's got a run on him. Don't overtake in the first corner. It's nuts to do it there. Well, for me, I always crash, but these guys are better. But Dan holds him off into the first chicane. One of the best overtaking opportunities. There isn't many round here, but up into that first chicane is probably the best, to be honest.
As Welshie comes into the pits, he's going to have to pit himself, because obviously these guys don't have to do what the Pro-Am boys do. They have to pit again at lap 7. Look at the state of that Porsche, clearly struggling at the minute. Is Welshie. No, it's horrible, isn't it?
It hurts me.
Welshie having to pit again. Gary just starting to pull up a bit of a gap away from Andy now. Andy just starting to fall into the clutches of Little Each a bit more. There's Phil in the background. P6 at the minute for Phil, P7 for Sooty. So they're having a bit of a better race as well. We'll have to keep our eye on what the Akoras do. They're kind of in their own little league, aren't they, these two? They're not really racing anyone by themselves. But the battle at the front at the moment, as Liam says he wishes in the chat, I bet you wish you were second fighting for Dan for the race lead.
One day. Yeah. One day, Liam. One day. When you're back in Pro-Am with me.
As Little Each really trying to hunt Andy down. You see the pace of that Porsche in the straight line, and now does he pull out to have a look against Andy? But Andy is so good through these corners.
Yeah. Well, that's the genetic for it. I mean, and I don't mean that Andy isn't capable. He's more than capable. He can certainly drive, but the genetics is so good. And again, you won't do it into that chicane down that long straight. It's just not the room. No. It'll end up in tears. There's kind of a little bit of an opportunity to get a run out of this last corner, and that is all. That was another pro-am line.
I tell you where I found another overtaking place as well was after turn 1 and 2, coming down the hill to turn 3. If you can make a late move there, as Little Leach, he's pulling out now and he's going to use the pace of the Porsche. He's backed out of that one. Backed out of it.
It's hard. Don't overtake in turn 1. Don't do it. As Jamie is still all over the back of Daniel like a cheap suit, isn't he? All over him.
He is indeed, and Jamie keeping up that pressure, and it's good that Jamie has been able to keep up this pressure on Dan, not letting Dan run away with it, but Dan will have a big grin on his face at the moment. Well, I don't think he'll have a grin just yet. He'll be working so hard behind the wheel, but Dan will be happy to see Gary third and Jamie leading this one, especially given the circumstances of he nearly didn't race tonight, as Gary is just slowly starting to pull out the gap. But the thing I'm noting is Jamie, we've lost a driver. Disco. We've lost Disco.
Oh,
Disco again.
No, again.
Yeah, that's another one.
Day I'm not going to find out. It's another day longer before.
Well,
I know
mean,
there's
race 2.
Yeah, absolutely. He must have gone off to see to his mate.
Yes, possibly.
Little Leach not so close this time, although he starts to reel him in as he gets to the end of that straight, but it's very difficult to do at the end. You say Dan was have a grin on his face. I think you'll find that Dan will be sweating like a fat kid in a cake shop at the moment, with Jamie Brazier all over the back of him as he is. Daniel needs these points, and so does Jamie. So these wins are extremely important when you're racing for a championship.
Indeed.
So it's game on for sure. As these guys seem to have like a magic tether between them. They don't seem to have dropped more than about 3/10 between each other all the time they go round. They're just right there with each other.
They are. And it's as if Dan's just giving him a gentle... It's as if, Dan, bit
Dan
deep into turn 1. That's made a mistake, and that's allowed Jamie Brazier to have such a run up the inside. Dan can't come across to cover this one. This looks like Jamie's going to take the race lead then here on lap 5. And he's wide again there, Dan, as he cuts it back in, looking for that cutback. Has he got it underneath? No, he hasn't.
No, not this time. And I mean, that was Dan. That was Dan being very, very fair there. And some will argue that I'm biased, but to be fair, he was being fair, because he could have quite easily cut that chicane and held the position. But he tucked it back into the apex and run the line. So fair play to Dan. Jamie's lost it.
No, I don't think he has. I think Dan's tapped him. You say about Dan being a gentleman, and he's waited for Jamie there. I think Dan's just gave Jamie a little tap up the rear, because we've seen this before, Kelly. We've seen it last season at Nürburgring. Dan tapped Keegs and sat and waited for Keegs to get going. Dan is a hard, but he is a very, very fair racer, and will give the place back if he feels he's done wrong.
That's the way he was brought up, to be fair. So, and I'm just trying to look on the stream to see if I can see it. And it's hard to see on the stream. But Daniel stopped, so I'm sure that he nudged Jamie from behind and gave that place back. That's given Jamie now an opportunity to pull away a little bit, and of course brought Gary back into play a little bit. But then saying that, Gary was back into play by 3 seconds, but he's lost a second again now. I just don't think Gary's got the pace of these front two.
I don't think Gary's got the pace of the front two either, but what it does do is if Dan and Jamie keep squabbling like that, Gary's going to be right there. Andy is still fending off Little Leach at the minute and doing a cracking job. Look at Little Leach in the slipstream, but we've seen him earlier, sort of lifts off coming through this bend here at turn 1 and cannot get that move done. So again, he's going to look up the inside now, is he? No, can't do that one. No.
No, as I said, and don't overtake in turn 1. It's crazy. You know, it's to be fair, it's really hard to do, because if you're going to go around the corner quickly, and the pro guys are mostly doing it flat. We were talking about it last night. It's if you're going to go flat, it's right on the edge. And Fury, that's exactly what happened to Fury when he lost the car. He went around there flat and just lost it. So you imagine going around the outside of somebody to try and overtake them. It ain't easy.
It isn't easy. Just got Dan's stream on. I've rewound it a little bit just to the incident here, and I'm just coming up to the corner where he had the incident. And just again, I tell you what he's done. he's braked, but he's got a hell of a twitch on the rear end as he's braking, a bit similar to what he did in the GT5s on Monday night, where he ended up spinning in the pit lane and getting disqualified. He's had a massive twitch again as them two taking the Pro-Am line there. Again, a massive twitch on the rear for Dan into the braking zone. Now that isn't very optimistic going into the rest of the evening.
Has he got damage?
I can't see that well. My phone screen's not up. It's big enough, but it's not showing. I don't think he has a lot. Oh, I tell you what, we've missed off stream. He's had a huge wiggle as well. So Dan is struggling. Let me try and get that bigger. Yeah, he has. Let me try and get this a little bit bigger. He's carrying a small damage on the front. In fact, no, sorry, he's not carrying any damage on the aero. I think he's got more engine damage than aero damage.
Got it done. Looks like Little Leach has got the inside before turn one. So no, Andy goes all the way around the outside. Brave. Holds on to the line, keeps him honest. I thought Little Leach a little bit of a Pro-Am cut there, Andy. But Little Leach, I thought he had him there. But on they go again.
Little Leach in that Porsche. He's got a bit of a tap up the rear from Little Leach. In fact, if anything, he lost out more than Andy did there. They both keep going on their way. Gary then look at that, near enough a second. He was 2 seconds slower than Jamie on the last lap, was Gary there. So really struggling for pace at the moment. Gary, he's 5 seconds off 4 seconds off the back of Dan, 6 off the back of Jamie at the moment. So Gary looks like he's quite content for third place at the moment. 12 people started this race, which means 6 people will be able to qualify for the next one. The pit window is now open, so people can pit as from this lap onwards then, as we see Little Leach yet again on a straight, trying to get all over the back of Andy.
Yeah, Andy driving a good defensive race and holding Little Leach off. Smithy in the chat saying if this was Pro-Am, we'd be smacking people up the rear. Well, I don't know, you've been watching the last 5 minutes because the Pro boys are doing all the rear smacking, as it were. No pun intended there. They seem to be, the Porsche boys seem to be just nudging people in front as Little Leach looks all over the place. He's all over Andy, but can't find that way through. This is his best opportunity. Let's see if he can make it happen this time. He's got a nice run out of the final corner. He's right in the slip of Andy. Starts to bring him in, but that Gianettas just seems to have just enough to hold him off, doesn't it? Gary in the pits.
Yeah, Gary in the pits, the first man to pit under the pit window. Now Phil joins him. Gary then clearly going for the undercut here then at this moment in time. Rabbit Joe as well, he had the damage at lap 1, so he's in the pits. He could be a little while in there, as is Phil and Gary, as well as Gary comes out now. Peaceful as well, he's drove around with a bit of damage on his car, so he's in the pits as well. And what a shame for Peaceful tonight, because he probably fancied his chances of a podium with a few drivers missing, but what a shame. Never seems to have any luck, does it? When it rains, it pours.
Absolutely, and there's always race 2, and we'll see. We'll see how things go. Gary trying the undercut. I did it last night. Got stuck behind a few people and decided to pit early and see if I could go for a longer second stint, and it panned out for me in race 2. So maybe Gary's having a similar kind of thought. Maybe just thinking he ain't making a lot of progress at the moment. Then let's get the pit stop out of the way and get on with it.
Has Dan made another mistake this lap, because he seems to have dropped even further off the back of Jamie here. There doesn't seem to be too much damage on that Porsche. Does Dan or Jamie retaliate? Nope, they both carry on their way. In the background, I think he's diving into the pits, and I tell you what, that's a brave call if Oshie's coming in to do his mandatory stop. He has, and he's got a 10-second penalty, and the worst thing is, Joe's away. No, Joe's away, so I thought he timed it wrong, but Joe's away, so she's fine.
Yes, indeed. Still, Andy and Little Leach go at it. It's the closest battle on track at the moment. They've been doing this now for about 9 laps, and Little Leach must know every single sponsor on the back of that Gianettas. As he looks up the inside, can't make a stick. Andy's gone deep. He's gone through the Pro-Am line there. That saved him. Did it save him in position? It certainly saved him something.
Yeah.
You know. Didn't quite do what Dan did when in that situation, did he? So,
no, he didn't seem to come back and make the apex there as evil Scotsman. So Ian, nice to see you, Ian. Hopefully you're well. Obviously, not been able to speak to you for a few weeks now that the PlayStation's broken. As Sutty then comes out the pits. Where's his teammate Phil? Not coming down the start straight yet. So Sutty looks. He is now. He's just coming down it now. But Sutty then looks like he's jumped his teammate as Monkey Boy comes into the pits at the end of lap 9.
Yes, indeed. So all kind of spread out a little bit. As I said, the only real battle on track is this one here. again.
I tell you what, Gary got. I think Little Leach here, Kelly. We say about not going flat out through turn one. I think Little Leach has got to commit. Gary committed,
maybe.
he got the job done on Andy. I think Little Leach has got to commit. Although he's having a look, he's having a bit of a sniff there, can't get the job done. Andy, within his rights, closes the door and gets that one done. Back into the left-hander again. Andy keeping nice and tight to the apex and not leaving any opening for Little Leach at all. Now, a bit wide there from Little Leach. Tries to get through the final corner. This is his best chance. Let's look. We're on board Little Leach here. So look at the closing speed. The only sponsor on the rear of that car, look, is it Tassimo, I think it says on the back there. It's something Japanese or
Little
Asian,
Leach
I
will know all
assume.
of them.
Yeah, Little Leach will know it. He'll be able to paint a picture of the rear of that car.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gone this time.
He does commit. He does commit.
Oh, and he's done it. Great manoeuvre then. And he's got that done to the inside then of turn two. Andy's going to try and keep it around the outside. Little Leach, so will be up the inside for turn three as Dan now comes into the pits and he's out the pits.
Yes, indeed. Quick stop from Dan. Andy's got back at him, look. Andy's got him back. But Little Leach, no, he has. He's definitely got him back. I thought Little Leach was going to take the run up the inside. So we go again.
Little Leach must be getting fed up of looking at the back of this Ginetta today. But Andy driving superbly at the moment, doing everything he needs to do. Then Dan has pitted, and Dan's been jumped by Gary.
Oh, yes, he has. You're quite right.
There is the championship leader behind his title rival, the two-time champion Gary 131. Now battle on. You said it's very hard to overtake round here. We've already seen Dan make one mistake with a twitchy Porsche into the rear of Jamie. So now then, he struggles against Gary. Did he repair his damage? That's the question. If he has got damage, did he repair it enough to be able to keep with Gary? The phone looked a bit blurry on my end, so I couldn't definitely tell you what damage he did have, but Gary ahead of Dan. So the undercut, Kelly, like you said, it worked for you last night. It so far worked a dream for Gary, because Gary was nowhere near Dan before the pit stops.
No, indeed, he was a couple of seconds back. So the undercut's strong here for sure. As we see, Little Leach is almost in the car with Andy now. Andy gets squirrely off the last corner, got up onto the curb a little bit. So this is another good chance for Little Leach to get this one. Oh, sorry, hang on, I've jumped. Where have I got?
Oh,
so
no,
Andy backed out of it.
Yeah, must have backed out of it. Get the switch back, tried to get back up the inside of turn one, can't get it done. And Andy just able to get on that power a bit earlier than Little Leach here. So again, Little Leach trying to set Andy up, but just can't get the move done. Gary then, bit of daylight between these two cars, couple of tenths, in fact half a second is the gap between the pair of them. And Dan hunting down the champ once more. And we saw at Silverstone, Gary is not the easiest man to overtake.
He's not, and it's not an easy track to overtake. So, it's game on again here. So it's Porsche versus Porsche. This is for the championship as well. Every point's going to count now. And
Little Leach has got past Andy. And he's gone deep, so Andy's come back at him.
Andy's gone again.
What a battle this is. Andy is making that Ginetta so wide, but as well as bringing it back so well. Little Leach having a cracking race, a cracking scrap with Andy, side by side towards the chicane. This isn't really an overtaking place.
No, it's
is
not.
Craig going to get it done? No, he's had to back out of that as Welshie again. He's into the pits for a third time as Welshie, so not the night
Maybe
for him.
likes it there.
Well, yeah, not his night though, is it?
No, not tonight. That's for certain. Sure. As they come back into the last sector again. So this is
Andy's
gone in the pits. So we'll see. That's broken this chain a little bit. Let's see what how that pans out in a lap or two. And when
he sped in the pit lane. Andy sped in the pit lane.
Oh no!
Oh, that's going to be a
Andy,
10-second penalty. So that's the race ruined for Andy there. Then Danny's all over the back of Gary and will be looking for an opening. But Gary knows how to defend. He knows where Dan will be strong. He knows how Dan will race. I mean, if he doesn't know, what did he learn at Silverstone? Not a lot, because he'll know exactly what Dan will do. And I tell you what, this could be. We was just on about the Little Leach and Andy battle. This could be a cracking one to watch for the rest of the race.
Yep, absolutely. 7 laps to go. 7 laps for Dan to do it. This man was in the lead. They're now, they're racing for second, really, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? Because Jamie's checked out.
We'll see because of the undercut.
He hasn't stopped, has he?
No, so we'll see that the undercut we know he's strong, so we'll have to see. Dan there, I've noticed with Dan at turn 3 there a few times, he just seems to go a bit deeper into the corner and then sort of cut back and take a later apex and try and cut back underneath. But it's not working for him as of yet.
Yeah, I noticed that. I tend to go to the apex and then accelerate and open the corner up at the end. But Dan seems to go out wide and apex it differently. But hey, what do I know? He goes a couple of seconds quicker than I do.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, he must know something.
Now, I tell you what, I've raced against Gary and Dan, both of them a fair few times, and they are both brilliant drivers, both brilliant at attacking and defending. And we saw, you guys saw as well, if you tuned into Silverstone, you saw the epic battle of race 1. The defensive drive from Gary and the offensive drive of Unorthodox was fantastic, and we could have 7 more laps of that right here at Le Mans. It's round 3, because they did it for a bit in race 2 at Silverstone as well. It's round 3, and it's again the same way around. Gary defending from Dan.
Yeah, Dan tries to go around the outside. He ain't going to make that stick, but I don't know if he's just trying to put Gary off a little bit and try and make him second guess what's going on. I think Dan's got more pace, but there's just no way round.
Yeah, that's the problem. Unless he's going to get the move done here, like you've said, maybe the downhill section where we've seen a few overtakes last night, but Dan's not close enough at the moment to get this one done, and that allows Gary to not even defend into that corner because Dan wasn't close enough. So Gary could take his normal line through there. While these two are squabbling, though, this will allow Jamie to just increase his gap out front to maybe get to deny the undercut of Dan and Gary later in this race. We're on lap 13. It is only Little Each and Big Boy Brazier still to pit, and once again Gary still maintains that gap.
What's the deficit on the pit lane? Do we know?
I'm not 100% sure. 20 to 20. I think 20 to 25.
Seconds?
Yeah,
I thought it was about that.
Depending on the length of your pit stop, I think it's in and out 25 seconds with a relatively good pit stop. Anything longer in the pits, and I think you're struggling.
Yes, indeed. I think that's about about it. We're staying on board with these guys. This is the closest battle on track. I'd love to see where when it pans out how far Jamie's in front, if he's in front. I believe
Dan's going to look up the
inside.
inside at the chicane here. The second kind of chicane. Gary, no, he backs out of that one. I thought he was just going to try and sneak a nose under. Gary gave him the room there, knowing that he'd have the inside line for the next part. And it's clever driving from Gary. He doesn't need to defend that corner that much. Set yourself up for the next one. Dan trying
This is where
again.
Dan needs to be right on him and getting the power down right now.
Yeah.
And he's better this one. But Gary seems to be a little bit stronger off the last corner.
I've noticed that the earlier part of the lap, Dan seems the stronger driver. The later part of the lap, it seems to swing more towards Gary. And he just, I mean, look at the daylight between them now. Gary doesn't really have to defend turn 1 unless Dan's going to do something brave, which there's a championship on the line. It's not there's 4 weeks left to go. Dan's not going to be that brave yet. You know, if it was down to the last race of the year, you go for it. Dan knows there's still races left. He's not going to be brave. Look how close Dan gets round this part of the circuit.
He was close then. He nearly was nearly in the back of that one then, I think. That was very close. He gets quite a momentum off that corner, but then not do it. Gary's gone wide.
Gary's wide. Gary's very wide. He's side by
momentum.
side with Dan. Now, Gary will be inside for this corner. Evening to Fury in the chat. And should get that one done. Can he force Dan a little bit wide? He's gone a bit wide. Has Dan stuck a nose up the inside? No, he hasn't.
No, he gave Dan a sniff there, but he was in the wrong position on the track to be able to capitalise on that one.
Interesting then. Gary maybe just making a few mistakes here. Lap 15 Jamie's on, so he's not pitting. These two are only on the 14th lap. As we say, an evening to Fury, who's pretty much wrapped up the Pro-Am title after last night, and Little Each in the pits.
Hang on a minute, he hasn't taken it yet.
Not yet, but
to be fair, it's almost a foregone, but he hasn't taken it yet.
No, he needs to outscore you by 40 points.
Yeah, I know.
With 3 weeks to go.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah.
Anything can happen, mate. You know that.
100% anything can happen. Out the pits then comes Little Each. Gary and Unorthodox have passed him. Andy then might be on the back or in front of Little Each, but he's got that time penalty that's going to have ruined his race.
Yeah, Little Each going to. Oh, I don't know. It's tough, isn't it? Where is he?
He's there. He's there.
He's going to come out in front of him.
Yeah, Little Each has jumped him.
He has jumped him, only just. And he's going to be seething to see the back end of that Porsche.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now can Andy paint us a mental picture of his Porsche like Littleach can probably paint us a mental picture of Andy's Ginetta then. The 10-second penalty has really hurt Andy here though. If he got in front of Littleach there, he'd have had to have done something stellar to stay in front of Andy. It's Gary again.
Look, Gary goes
just a little
again.
bit wide there, but has got the double right-hander here to cover Dan off.
Yeah.
And Dan
difficult.
Dan having to take an extra wider line into the first part of that corner.
He gets on the dirty. He gets on the dirty side as well, on the dirty stuff. He doesn't want to be out there.
I'm surprised Dan's not sort of realising and just tucking back behind Gary, breaking that bit earlier and saying, there you go, Gary, have the corner, because I ain't going to do you around the outside of a double right hand. You may as well have the corner, mate. And he just seems to lose a bit more time going that bit wider through that complex. Jamie in the pits then. These two are only just coming round to the final couple of corners. Jamie is out. He's gone.
He's on his way.
Yeah, he's motoring. Welshie's in the pits again. That's a fourth time for Welshie. Not having the night he would have wanted his Welshie. Dan then. Well, he's got a second race to come here, so he's not got to force the move.
Time.
He is close. Now, this is the one Dan will need. This is the opportunity. Question is, how brave is he coming through that first bend, Kelly?
I think he's probably brave enough, but if he can stick it, that's another matter. He's not close enough at the moment. He's not. You need to be upside of him if you're going to overtake in that first corner. Dan goes round, looks round the outside. Gary's got that covered off, no problems. Got the racing line. Dan ain't going nowhere. No. It's looking like Dan's best opportunity is along here. You know, it's this line that Dan takes. He gets right up behind him, and I think you're quite right.
Gary, very clever there, using a bit of a Jason Plato, park it on the apex. He knows. He knows
We've
now.
All done it.
He knows now that.
My friend.
Oh, we have. He knows that Dan is going to try and look for that undercut on the mid corner. Now Gary made a little mistake again, and Dan side by side. I'm shouting and getting excited, but he's on the wrong part of the track. He's not going to do it round there.
Track again. Dan can't get to the inside quick enough on this corner. Gary comes
he's cleverly
every time.
Gary is cleverly here, parking it on that apex and making sure that he cannot get the move done. Now look at Littleach. Now he's finally got ahead of Andy after the pit stops. He's managed to gap Andy that little bit. Second and third, fourth at the minute for the Leachy legend. So good points in terms of the constructors. And Dan cannot get.
Gary was a bit squirrely off that.
Dan, can he hang it around the outside? Gary's going to try and force him wide, and Dan now maybe up the inside line of Gary, and I think he's got the move done, and there's that for the title at the moment. Long way to go still, but Gary there may have just gave Dan an opening. He should have maybe let Dan go the inside. Gary then will have that slipstream of Dan's Porsche. He's as close as Dan was. Dan pulls over, so Gary won't get the slipstream then. What can Gary do around here? We saw him overtake Andy here earlier in the race. Is this Gary going to go for it? He's having a look, I tell you now. He's having a look. He doesn't look like he backs out as much as Dan there.
Dan's got it covered. He's got the chicane covered this time. It was. You talked about Plato. It was a bit Plato from Gary, but it was a little bit Matt Neal from Dan. Give him his elbows out. Give him a push and a shove.
Oh, I tell you.
Dan's line opens up that corner, doesn't it?
Yeah,
you know?
But Gary just didn't have enough there to get that. If he'd have got the nose up the inside, Dan wouldn't have been able to come back. Gary having another look. I tell you what, Gary in the slipstream of Dan, this could be interesting to see what happened. A wiggle the slide. Gary catches it and holds on to it. But that's the game gone now for Gary with 2 laps to go. He needs Dan to make a mistake. And he's not made a mistake so far.
Good save from Gary. There was times where that could have been quite easily have gone round, but he held on to it and kept it moving forward. He's got to regroup a little bit and maybe have a crack. He's dropping back a little bit now, but that's kind of on the straight and whatever. But he's got to regroup himself. I'd be regrouping and having a crack on the last lap, wouldn't you, Matt?
The problem is with how short left there is of this race, you've got to make sure you don't drop too far back. He's got to quickly regroup and get back on the back of Dan now.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So that was the tightest battle on track. Jamie Brazier, remember that Dan was going well at the front, and pace-wise in qualifying was very close to Jamie, but Jamie has checked out up front, 13 seconds ahead of this pair, as Dan comes over the line and start lap 18 and dropping Gary a little bit now as Gary conceded this one.
That may have been the case. Just a couple of mistakes from Gary on that lap has done it. And Dan, I thought he was a bit deep there coming through turn 1, but made it stick. And it's good Gary isn't right up his chuff, because if he did make a mistake coming through turn 1, Gary would have pounced. Gary then Needs Dan to make a mistake like he has made for him to get back on the rear of him. But at the minute, like you say, Jamie's checked out, Danny's third. Sutty, as Andy's in the pits, so his 10-second time penalty could hurt him even more here, and that's allowed Sutty and Phil up to 5th and 6th. Oh, what a shame for Andy as he made a mistake somewhere. So his 10-second penalty, he could lose a few more places to Peaceful and Rabbit Joe and Monkey Boy. Oh yeah, look at the front end of that Janetta. There is Big Boy Brazier then. Oh, and that's Welshie across the gravel. He looks like he's had another spin.
Yeah, that Janetta looking a little bit second-hand, and Andy's probably done £2.5 worth of improvements, because the Janetta couldn't be any uglier, could it?
No, it couldn't. You're right. Peaceful Explosion then has just passed Andy. Rabbit Joe, will he get past Andy? He's only 9 seconds behind Peaceful, so we'll have to wait and see.
Well, she gets right out of the way of the leaders.
Yeah, Jamie
doesn't have to.
No, he doesn't
have to in these rules.
No, you're right.
Yeah, it's endurance type rules, so back markers can do as they please. There's no blue flags. They have no. They don't have to get out of the way. But Welshie did the right thing and got out of the way of the leader. Why wouldn't he?
Exactly, why wouldn't he? Andy has dropped to 10th then, and the only person behind him is Welshie, who's a couple of laps down on Andy. Jamie, though, is on his final lap of the race, and these two are now plenty apart, 2 seconds nearly is the gap between them. Little Each End down in 4th, 11 seconds off the back of Gary, 22 ahead of Sutty Apex. Good result though for the Acora boys, 5th and 6th.
Yeah, 5th and 6th, look, running quite close company as well. Look, Peaceful, as soon as I switched to you, man.
He must have known you was coming, and then Randy goes.
I must have known I was coming. Rabbit Joe, he qualified really well and
had a spin
carrying a lot of damage.
Had a spin lap one, didn't he, at the start lines? He got a cracking start, and 5 seconds
really
off the back of Peaceful though, with a lap and a half to go. So let's not count Joe out of maybe getting Peaceful in this one at the minute. Top 6 can't qualify, so at the minute both the Corers, Little Each, Gary Unorthodox and Jamie Brazier, cannot qualify for race 2, as here he comes then down into the chicane. Doesn't need to do anything here other than just take it steady,
just drive. Just drive it home. Job done.
Great drive from Jamie though in this first race, not put a foot wrong. He patient behind Dan made the error at turn 1 and 2. Jamie got past, and it's kind of been plain sailing from there, hasn't it?
Yes, indeed, it certainly has. I think that that incident that Dan and Jamie had was just it was about the end of it, really, wasn't it? So
it was.
Dan never really recovered, did he, from that? So great win for Jamie. Good solid result.
Good solid result for Jamie Brazier then. Dan's coming around the final corner. Looks like he's going to take a P2 and has actually dropped Gary by a few seconds here. So has Gary made a mistake this time around? I think he has. In fact, that is Andy. So Andy a lap down on Gary then. So Gary's going to come home to take a solid 3rd place at the minute. More points in the bag, but loses 5 more to Dan in the title race. Little Each is going to come home with P4. Poor old Andy there is going to take a 10th place in that one. The two Acoras, good result for these two then, who are going to take a 5th and 6th, and we might get to see a little cross the line sort of photo finish between the two Acoras.
Yeah, maybe. Let's look, I think Jamie's Sutty's backed out of that a little bit. He's Phil's come closer, so look at that, bit of synchronised across the line. Very nice.
Beautiful.
Take a photo, somebody. Yeah, beautiful.
Mental image for me, that one. Peaceful then. He's only 3.9 up the road from Joe. Plenty of time still for Joe to catch Peaceful here, but I don't think he will. Needs Peaceful to have a little mistake somewhere, and he's too experienced to have a mistake. Although we say that, last time we switched to him he was spinning round. So but Peaceful though, again a lap 1 incident with Joe and Disco, so that was not what he wanted, and it's going to be a few points dropped here, but a 7th place, points in the bag no doubt. Rabbit Joe, he's going to take
have been for Rabbit Joe.
Shame for him. He's going to take the P8, and Monkey Boy then is going to come home for P9. Fastest lap of the race, a 35.7 from Dan. So Dan gaining the extra points as well as a 2nd place there then. So great driving from these boys in race 1. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a moment with driver interviews and the 2nd qualifying race. So don't go in it. Grab yourself coffee, have a toilet break, and Sweet Sticky will be in your box for race 2 in just a moment.
You're the night sky trying to make me see your stars, but the dark gets lonely. Now I see violet, I can feel silence, and the dark's all that I see. When your stars are burnt out and your heart makes no sound, I'll find violet in your eyes. You'll always be my night sky.
Getting hype when I aim up, elevating that game up, stepping up to the competition. Only first place, and that's how I'm living. I'm winning till they digging up my grave, eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watched me elevate. When I watch me elevate. I was born and when I watch me elevate. I was born and when I watch me elevate. Watch me elevate. Yeah. All in when I show up. Whole place about to blow up. Superior to that competition. I'm in first place, yeah, that's how I'm living. I'm winning till they digging up my grave, eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watch me elevate. I was born and when I watch me elevate. I was born and when I watch me elevate.
Broken dreams in my pocket, golden thing round my neck like a locket. Carve your name in my mind, 'cause you caught it, you caught it. You're golden, golden, honestly you know it. Meet under the street like at the young so I could show you. You're golden, golden, honestly you're golden.
Welcome back to Simplay Motorsport. We've got the top three in the commentary box, but I'm just going to run you through the current standings. Unorthodox leads now by 9 points from Gary 131. As D-Big's not here, he drops down to third. Jamie, who's on double points tonight, and if you've been around the area, not that you would have not guessed that one over the last 2 weeks that Jamie was taking his double points here. Little Eats End drops down behind him, 70 points off the title. Monkey Boy and Peaceful then remain where they are, as does Emo Guy. Sutty moves himself into the top 10 in 9th place. He is also on double points tonight. Rabbit Joe goes into 10th place ahead of that Bozzy Boy. Phil is now in 12th with Disco in 13th. Welshie then in 14th, and Andy still down in 15th, but not far off the back of Welshie at the moment. Constructors title, Shake and Bake still lead the way, but Leachy Legends have clawed some points back. 55 points is now the gap between them two. Iron Brew Racing still third and have extended their gap over the GQ Motorsport boys. Class of 97 then are 2 points ahead of Run Flat Racing, with Sutty Apex being able to capitalise on double points, really able to help the team out as they've gone above Straight Line Racing. The Simplay Racing of the BMW are bottom, scoring nothing once again tonight, as we've got no Disco for race 2, which is a shame to not see Disco here. But we're going to start with Gary. A third place for you in what was a pretty boring opening start to the race, but the undercut worked on Dan, and then it became interesting.
Yeah, only worked because he made a mistake on his in-lap, so yeah, it made it interesting for a few laps after that.
You had to heavily defend from him like at Silverstone, because he was putting pressure on you yet again. As we saw a couple of weeks ago, you just seemed to do a good job, but then just started to get a bit twitchy as the race come to an end.
Yeah, tyres just lost full grip, and I was using my mirror too much rather than driving really, so yeah, it was driver error.
Losing 6 points to Dan in the title now then, what can you do in race 2 to try and claw them points back?
To be fair, I just want another third will do me, sort of best of the rest. Jamie and Dan are far quicker than anyone else at the moment, so yeah, we'll just see how we go on.
Well, best of luck, buddy.
Cheers, mate.
We've got Dan then in the box. Dan, you got a cracking launch, one in which even I doubted and had to check your personal stream to make sure you'd not jumped the starts for commentary purposes. Great launch, but Jamie quickly got onto the back of you, and you made that one mistake into the first braking zone that allowed Jamie through.
Yeah, just like you said, the perfect start. Everything was literally bang on how I wanted it. Took pole, took the race start, and all I had to do was keep Jamie behind. I know he was on double points, so I had to try and make sure he didn't maximise as much as possible. One twitch, and he had me, and I knew at that point I had to get him quick. If I didn't get him quick, that would be it. And fair play to him, he was quicker than me all weekend. I managed to finally catch up to his pace, but he just had it in hand. I was literally, once I made the one mistake, he was gone. So yeah, fair play to him.
You had that other little error as well, didn't you, when you was behind him? Just seemed to twitch on the rear as you just tapped the back of Jamie into the brake zone. But fair play to yourself letting him have that place. Was that how the car was all night, just a bit twitchy under braking, or was that just like a one-off?
In the clear air, without any cars in front of me, the car was fine. It was on rails at points, a bit twitchy here and there. But in dirty air, especially behind Gary and Jamie, the car just seemed to have a little bit of twitchy moments under braking. Yeah. So I might have to make a slight adjustment to the brakes, maybe, or something to just adjust that. But other than that, that was the only real issue. I had a fast lap time, just wasn't consistent enough. Now you've closed the gap. You've extended the gap over Gary to 9 points now in the title race. More of that in race 2 for you. Just happy with the second place, or is it you want to try and challenge Jamie, knowing that Jamie's on double points and could bring himself back into this title fight? If Jamie is leading, then I'm quite happy to follow him home. If I can take fastest lap away from him again, I will. But I've got to make sure that I stay ahead of Gary. I feel like Gary's going to be strong at Laguna, Monza and Dubai. So it's really damage limitation. And also, while D-Biggs isn't here, I have to make sure we score enough points for Shake and Bake as well. So it's all about consistency from now on, and make sure that we save it for the rest of the season. Well, best of luck, buddy.
Dan.
Oh, sorry, go on,
Dan, I got one question. How was Tregenna Castle in St Ives? Was it hard to pull yourself away from a lovely summer's day in St Ives?
It was absolutely beautiful, a lovely day.
I thought it was.
I just want to say congratulations to the lovely couple of Max and Tash Long. If they're listening, I dedicate my second place to them. Congratulations on them, and it was a lovely day, and I just got back in time. So hello guys, I'm here racing.
And for the case of Daniel's stream, I know Max as well, and he's joined us with a few touring car events and been and watched with us. So if Max is watching, congratulations, buddy, well done. And finally got it done, so well done. But as I said, I bet St Ives was beautiful today.
Best of luck
Well
down in
done,
race 2. Jamie, bogged down at the start, got on to the back of Dan, and that never looked back when you got past him.
No, I knew I had to get past Dan early because I knew I'd have a bit of tyre trouble later in the race. I just thought I'd need to get past him early on and just get gone up the road.
How was your tyres tonight? Obviously, Gary and Dan saying that in the dirty air, and Gary's tyres have gone off. How was the Audi tonight?
It was all right. It just in a few bits of the race, the tyre pressures just went a bit AWOL and just went to places I didn't want them to go. So I made a bit of a tweak and hopefully that sorted them out.
Obviously, you're flying the flag on your own tonight. No Liam with you to keep you going through the evening. Are you being able to hang on in there and do the job for the team?
Yeah, just say knowing that if I didn't score anything, then the team doesn't score anything, and yeah, it would mean that we fall even further behind in the constructors. And yeah, if I didn't score any points tonight, that would pretty much be game over for the championship. But yeah, I hope Liam's having a nice time at Silverstone.
One last question: is it championship on with your double points tonight?
Ask me this again after the second race.
Okay, will do.
I was going to say that was my question actually. Are you looking at the title? But you've answered that, fantastic. You've answered it. So best of luck. We're looking forward to a three-way championship towards the end. Best of luck, Jamie.
Best of luck, buddy.
Well done.
Thank you.
So there's qualifying coming towards an end here, Kelly. Gary then will start in P10 for race 2 behind his two rivals and behind his teammate Little Leach. What's that going to do for Gary, seeing that Dan and Jamie are the beneficiary of the random grid draw?
Well, I don't know about you, Matt, and I don't know about anybody else who was listening, but Gary sounded a little bit like he's conceded a little bit, and I do hope that's not the case because it's all still to play for. And he was a little bit kind of like, where Jamie and Dan are fast enough tonight. I'd be happy to take third. So. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, just off air there, that the first thing that Gary said when he joined our party was how much he disliked this track.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be positive when you don't like the track, But I think we're on for a cracking showdown towards the end, as it's now revealed, and as you say, most people knew that Jamie would take his double points here. I mean, so far he's done almost the maximum he can. Dan's denied him of a complete maximum, so it's cracking good points, and he's back in the hunt, isn't he? And the showdown is building up beautifully, and that's what we want, isn't it?
It is what we want. It's exactly what we want. And Andy, so far, currently the driver on pole, 0.6 of a second quicker than Peaceful Explosion, with Monkey Boy in third, Rabbit Joe fourth, and Welshie in fifth place. At the moment, obviously, the top six couldn't qualify. We didn't get Disco back in to have a 6v6 shootout. And, looks like we're going to be down to the 11 drivers for the rest of the evening. But what we are seeing here is Andy may be taking his fifth pole of the season in that Ginetta, which is rather good.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's not at the pace of his first qualifying session where he was in the 35s, but he doesn't need to. All he needs to do is enough to put it on pole. And the way Andy was defending in that first race, he has a good start. Who's going to get past him? It's going to be, could line up into quite the battle to get round Andy.
Yeah, it is going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on. Let's keep on Joe, gone second at the moment then. Front row of the grid for Rabbit Joe. Seems confident round here, does Joe? Obviously made that mistake in the first race at turn 1, but can he get away well off the front row of the grid here? He's qualified ahead of Peaceful at the moment, and he's on a flyer still now as someone has just crossed the line. I think that'll be one of the Mercedes. Is Andy and Welshie was together on the circuit, and Joe's here. So there is Andy.
Who's next across the line?
It's Andy, and then Welshie.
It is Andy. Yeah.
And then one of the Mercedes boys.
Just going back to Rabbit Joe, he's one of those that I just keep thinking that, I want him to have his day, and I think it's coming. Do you know what I mean? Like Peaceful and Welshie as well. Do you know what I mean? I want to see their days come, but Rabbit Joe seems to be getting quicker and quicker and better as Andy goes a little bit quicker. Still didn't quite bother the 35s again. But yeah, I just want to see Rabbit Joe see his potential, really. Do you know what I mean? See it out to a result.
Have his moment, if you will. We saw Liam have a good 5th place at Zhuhai not long ago, and here he is. Can he improve on his time that he's just done? Oh, he can, and brings it within half a second. We've got Monkey Boy left on the track then. Can he improve by half a second to get it, by 4 tenths to get ahead of his teammate Peaceful Explosion?
That Mercedes V8 absolutely roaring down the straight. Certainly sounds lovely. If it is ugly,
purring as he goes along,
like a kitten.
Indeed. Andy then. I think is Andy still on a lap? I think he might still be on a lap here. Yeah, Andy is. He's on a lap there still. So Andy got across the line before the countdown done. So Monkey Boy's the next to finish. He's coming into the final couple of corners. Will Andy need to set a quick time? I don't think so at the moment. But here comes Monkey Boy. What can he do? Has he gained enough to get pole? He's gained enough to move third. So him third. Peaceful then will drop to fourth. Rabbit Joe will start P2 on the grid. So what a qualifying for Joe there then, which means Andy will be pole position. Pole position number 5 for Andy this year, and that takes his Q2 average to 4th place.
He could just practice his pit entry now, because he needs some work on that.
Yes, he does.
But he doesn't. He goes on. Is he on a quicker one? He's kind of all over the place on this last one, but he might be a little bit quicker. Doesn't need to be. Doesn't matter now. And did he go quicker? We'll find out in just a second. No, I don't think he did. 36.09. Yeah. So, he would have been better off practicing his pit lane entry.
He would have done. Now, Rabbit Joe puts himself for his 50th start of this season. 50th start here at Simplay, on the front row of the grid for his 50th start. So what a place to be for race. What a place to be for race number 50. Sutty is making race number 49 here tonight. That's his 49th start here. And Big Boy Brazier closing in on a milestone of 25 wins. Obviously, we celebrate the milestone of 50 race starts and then maybe 100, but race wins are a bit harder to come by. So Jamie Brazier, 20 out of 25 for the first milestone in terms of wins at the moment. What a driver he is. 12 of them come in the Pro-Am, and at the minute 8 in the Pro, but still you can take nothing away from him. So it's Andy, Rabbit Joe, Monkey Boy Peaceful, Welshie, Big Boy Brazier and Orthodox, Phil, Littleach, Gary, Sutty. If you're Dan here or Jamie sort of mid-pack, what's your tactics going into turn 1?
As I was kind of saying just a minute ago, it's a hectic start, this place. You know, that turn 1, I kept saying it, don't overtake, but you're all in close company on the start. It's really, really tricky not to get caught out and in an incident. We saw Fury last night come from way back, and I think within half a lap he was in first, and it all panned out for him a treat in race 2. So anything can happen. Daniel and Jamie are the best placed out of the reverse grid guys, and it's totally random and nothing we can do about it, and no way to control it. But Jamie's basically had the best of the rest now in that 6th place.
You say best place there, Kelly, but with the frantic start like you say around here, are they in the best place in the middle of the pack?
Well,
would you not kind of rather be Gary, who's kind of at the back and will see everything in front of him, whereas they've got cars behind, they've got cars in front?
I think it's, for me, there's something to be said for being at the back and staying out of the carnage. But while you're staying out of the carnage, you're still losing time to those ones who are in front of the carnage. So you can't predict what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? So it's random luck. So we'll see. In just a few seconds.
What happens then as the revs rise here, and we're about to get underway for round 18 of the season. It's lights out now, and it's a good start from Rabbit Joe, a great start from Welshie in the middle, as well as the 2 Mercedes try and bog down. Rabbit Joe then on his 50th race start is in the lead, and look at Unorthodox already trying to go up the inside of Peaceful Explosion. Will he have to back out this one? Can he make it stick? Welshie and Peaceful are there. Dan then just onto that curb, and you don't want to really touch that curb. Monkey Boy's had a spin then, and he's luckily not caught anybody up there, but Rabbit Joe already away. Dan trying to go around the outside of Welshie on the exit and has got that move done. He's now on the back of Peaceful and looks to dive up the inside of Peaceful into turn 3. He's just on the grass a bit. Peaceful very wide there, and Jamie can't follow through. Gary as well stuck behind Welshie. So Dan and Jamie, a bit of a tap from Peaceful and Dan, and that will have unsettled Dan a little bit there. Peaceful back up the inside. Can he get that position? I don't think he can. No. Dan then keeping it around the outside there, Kelly, and Dan at times there has rode his luck a little bit, but the luck he kind of needs if he's going to win a title.
Absolutely, and Jamie's going with him. To be fair, I don't think Jamie's going to take very long to get round Peaceful, but who's this in between the two of them? It's Gary, isn't it?
Gary got up, he's got up the inside of Jamie there. So Gary has got Jamie done, and he's now trying to battle Peaceful Explosion down the straight towards the chicane. Gary's going to be a brave man, and has got the move done before the braking zone.
He's got it done before the braking zone.
Peaceful!
And he's kind of cleared everyone else, which is really lucky for everyone else, because that could have been absolute carnage. So Peaceful having a shocker. So Gary is, I thought Jamie was going to pass real quick and be on the back of Dan real quick, but it's Gary who made the best of that, in the right place at the right time.
And now, if you ask me, Kelly, I know we've only had one lap, but Gary's car looks a bit quicker than Dan's and Jamie's at the moment. Has he made some alterations in between the sessions? Because that Porsche of Gary's looks a little faster there, as he's got a good start to get through the carnage. Well, I say the carnage, wasn't much carnage, was there? But to get through the traffic, Rabbit Joe then leads the first lap here, from Andy, from Dan, from Gary, from Jamie.
Yes, indeed. Rabbit Joe doing a cracking job. And Andy goes very deep there. But puts it all together. Rabbit Joe doing a cracking job, and let's hope that this is his time that we were talking about. And I'm going to come off him and give him a chance to not have a commentator's curse as Jamie starts to reel Gary in. And it might be like you're saying that it's going to kind of jump from one end of the track. Who's quick at one end and the other? Because Gary's not as quick as Dan at this end of the track.
No.
But seems to be better at the other end.
Yeah.
So.
He does indeed, so let's see what Gary can do. And don't forget, Dan's got to get past Joe and Andy, while Gary could crawl onto the back of Dan and maybe put Dan under some pressure. And look at Gary already, he's kind of dropped Jamie over these last couple of corners and has closed that gap a bit to Dan, I'd say.
Yes, well, this is obviously Gary's stronger at this end. Dan is reeling in Andy now. Joe's is still staying constant and out front. Andy's going to be playing the Yarno Truly game of being the mobile chicane, I believe, because it ain't easy to get round here. We know how slippery that Andy is with in his defence, you know. So look at race one with him and Little Each. That was a cracking defending drive. Andy then made the moves back on Little Each. Andy has nothing to lose here, so he wants the podiums in that Ginetta. So if he gets in a championship fight, he's got nothing to lose. It's Gary there, just looked like he put two wheels on the gravel. Maybe didn't get the best exit, but with Dan gaining on the Ginetta and Gary gaining on Dan just that little bit, Jamie looks like he's just dropping off the back of these two Porsches. This is lining up into an absolute cracker, this is, because they all need the points. They all need the points. The championship contenders all in a line. Unorthodox, Gary and Jamie all there in a line and want these positions. Andy wants a podium. Rabbit Joe wants to win. And Dan takes that unusual line again, which takes him out wide, brings him back in again. He's all over the back of Andy, and Gary's all over the back of him. Gary is sticking to Dan like glue, and he's going to look on the inside, and that's a lay move from Gary, and they're side by side with Andy as well. Three abreast, and Gary's got Dan, and he's done Andy as well. What a manoeuvre from the double two-time champion. Yeah, that was a champion's move for sure. He managed to do the pair of them, and Dan doesn't want this going on. He wants to get after him. Dan's gone all the way round the outside on the double right-hander, and has got Andy done as well. Dan's got the bit between his teeth. He can't let Gary go. He couldn't do that to Gary early on, but he's done it to Andy here. The Ginetta not getting in the run and being able to keep Dan out wide. Now Jamie needs to get past if he's to keep with these two Porsches. Dan is wringing the neck of that Porsche, and Joe so far doing a mega stunt job outside, and Jamie's going around the outside of Andy. He'll be up the inside for the next part of the chicane, and that's job done. No, it's not. Andy's tapped him round. Oh no. Oh, what happened there? That happened so quickly. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure if Jamie just leaned on Andy a little bit or what happened, but I think Jamie's car was that far alongside Andy's that he was enough to just tap the rear round there. But poor old Jamie has lost out massively. Yes, indeed. I'm trying to watch it back on the stream because the stream's got a bit of delay, and trying to watch it back, and I think Jamie come across and Andy was still there, and a bit of half a dozen, 1 or 6 the other, I think. Dan's going to look up the inside of Gary though, into turn 3, and is he going to make this one stick? Gary's going to try and keep it around the outside, can't get it done. Dan then back up into second place, and that pushes Gary down to P3, a bit of a twitch. Best thing at Simplay Motorsport when Matt starts to shout, says the wall in the chat. Rabbit Joe here, 4 laps in, and he's still leading this race and isn't going to let these two pass with ease. He wants that podium, his first ever podium in the Pro, and what a drive on his 50th start. He's got a long way to go, my friend. Oh, he's got a long way to go, and he's now got the pressure of the two-time champ and Unorthodox, the current championship leader. How is your bottle, Joe? He's got a couple of very fired up drivers behind him. Let's go back with Dan and see. Yes, look, poor old Rabbit Joe's going to get swallowed up on this. Was Gary gone deep? Gary's gone deep. Oh, he has made a mistake then. made a mistake, but he tucks back in front of his brother. His brother there to keep him rear gunner away from Jamie, who's only dropped down to 5th place and can still claw it back in this race if he hasn't got too much damage. Dan looking all over the back of Rabbit Joe. Rabbit Joe must be in Annie's Rabbit, must be absolutely bricking it in that Porsche.
Did you see Dan there?
him.
Bit of a flash to Joe. Come on, mate, I'm behind you. I need this space.
I've got no time for this.
Either get your foot down or move. But Joe, well within his rights to keep going as much as he can. He can dictate the pace if he wants. Dan's the one who's got to get past him. And Dan again having look up that inside in towards turn 3. Can Joe get across to defend him? No, he can't. And Dan's going to look up the inside, taps the rear of Joe, and that's Joe round.
Joe.
Gary has to avoid Joe. Does it brilliantly, but Dan leads the race.
Yes, indeed. I think Joe should have just let that one go. Dan was down the inside. He come across and rubbed against him.
Too late, wasn't it, from Joe?
Yeah, it was too late to defend it. He should have defended it earlier. And Joe's going backwards now, unfortunately. Jamie's going to go right round the outside of him. And now he's had a spin on those tyres as well. For a minute, that Porsche is going to be a little bit unsettled on its tyres. So, poor old Rabbit Joe. He will have his day, I'm sure of it. He certainly will. But that day's not today. But good effort, nevertheless.
Great effort nevertheless. Now Gary needs to hunt down Dan. It will be another 5 points if Dan wins this race, depending on the fastest lap. If Dan wins it and Gary gets second, it'll be 5 points. The gap's extended again. If not, it could be 6. But can Gary get anything done? Jamie still not past Rabbit Joe. Joe's come back at him.
Yes, he has. Andy's still in close company as well. I think Jamie and Andy got away with no damage out of that one because their pace still seems to be good and they've got all their faculties in all the right places by the looks of it. So, I think the pair of them got away with it, just slipped down the order a little bit. So, Jamie's going to have the bit between his teeth. Remembering he's on double points this evening.
I was going to
say with that win.
I was going to say to you, Kelly, the thing is for Jamie tonight is it's bust or broke, isn't it? If he's got to go for it to stay in that title fight on his double points. If he doesn't have the greatest night of double points, he's then got to basically win every race and hope Dan, Gary and Biggs have poor races from here on into the rest of the season. Jamie needs them points as Andy going across the second corner, taking the Pro-Am line.
Pro-Am line, yeah, absolutely. Made famous by a few of the Pro-Am drivers last night. And, it's Jamie is capable. If it all goes wrong, and this is his best position for tonight, he is more than capable of dragging some race wins back towards the end of the season. But ideally, he would want to have some good points on this one, so he can... so it makes his life a bit easier and he's right in the championship fight. But the race is not over. It's not even half distance yet. So let's just hang fire a minute before we write anybody off at anything. But Joe defending really well, but Jamie's managed to get round the outside of him and he's dragged Andy along with him as well. The gap opened up and Andy he's still side by side, but he's got the inside line. Joe's going to have to concede that one. And he opened the door. I thought Andy was going to go wide then, but we had a bit of glitching.
Yeah. Smithy in the chat, that was worse than Pro-Am. Even I didn't cut it that bad, he says in the chat then. As Gary here cannot get ahead of his, cannot pull away from his brother here. Little Leach keeping with Gary, very honest.
Is he holding station?
Little Leach has got to hold station, hasn't he, for the championship?
He's got to be, hasn't he? Do you know what I mean? Little Leach is within a second of him.
Jamie's in.
Jamie has gone into the pits. So Jamie taking his pit stop early. Is it going to be a quick one? We will find out. And it's looking about average.
I think there's damage on that car.
Maybe. No, it's looking long now.
Yeah, I think there's damage on that car.
Yeah, he's putting the damage right. Maybe we'll see. This is good results slipping away. He's away again, but it's a long stop, a very long stop. Not the best. I reckon that. I reckon that Little Leach is just holding station, covering off his brother. Gary not bothering the back of Unorthodox, is he?
No.
Not really.
He said in his interview he's quite content with third place. Yeah. Second place is even better for him, isn't it? But
good points for the team.
Great points for the team. Has Dan made a mistake this lap? Because that gap's gone from 2 point something down to 1.9. So I wonder if Dan's just had a bit of a wiggle somewhere this lap. I mean, that might open Gary's eyes up and try and deploy some pressure onto the back of Dan. But hey, we go back to lap 1 and how lucky was Dan. Was all over that curb that Fury said do not touch, and Dan touched it and then got the shunt from Peaceful and he managed to keep going. A couple of times Dan in lap 1 could have been nudged off, and then the touch with Rabbit Joe, a couple of times Dan could have
Could have been in trouble, yeah.
Yeah, could have been in a bit of bother.
Yeah, but that's that's what makes champions, isn't it? Is
Gary's in the pits.
Gary's taking his pit stop.
Now
he's taking his pit stop.
Now, one thing I've noticed: Jamie's got to pit again.
Is he pitted before?
Jamie pitted at the end of lap 6.
And pit windows lap 7.
End of lap 7. So Jamie pitted at the end of lap 6.
Then,
so Jamie's got to pit again. Andy's in the pits. Phil is in the pit. So Jamie here could face himself a 25-second penalty, the length of a pit. Look at Andy getting the rear tyres spinning as he comes out. Yeah. Peaceful as well brings himself into the pits. Jamie here, for me, has to pit again. End of lap 6, pit window, end of lap 7. So, yeah, he's got to pit again for me, surely.
Yeah, well, sounds like you know your thing. So yeah, I won't question your knowledge at all. So we'll see. If so, that is this race ruined for certain. Sure, if he's got to pit again, because that wasn't exactly a quick pit stop. The first one, was it? So
no.
If he was carrying damage, he was going well with that damage and should have gone a lap extra. But there we go. We will find out in the end what's happened. So. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, interesting one. Joe back up to 3rd then after the first round of pit stops. Sutty is up to 4th as well after the first round of pit stops. Gary then came out P5, so not a bad stop for Gary then. He's well ahead. He's just ahead of Welshie by a couple of seconds, and he's only 6 seconds off the back of Sutty. Gary not coming into shot just yet. There he is.
Yeah, he's in nice clear air, isn't he? So
yeah, got a bit of clear air, and I'll hope that Sutty and Joe... they're
Pro-Am line.
That's a Pro-Am line. If I've ever seen one, but at the minute it's Gary's got a bit of free air here to just cruise along. When does Dan react to Gary's pit stop? We know that the undercut did work a little bit in that first race. When does Dan react to that? Because he's not done it at the moment.
Absolutely, and Dan cracking on. See, still in the 36s, fastest man on the track at the moment. So, I mean, yeah, Gary on an outlap anyway, and whatever. But Dan's still doing the right pace. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to defend us Pro-Am boys just for a minute. Not that I was one of the worst ones for corner cutting, although I did have a couple of moments. I'm just going to defend us Pro-Am boys. And the pros are doing their fair share of corner cutting as well, mind, aren't they? It is, and I expected better from these guys.
Every now and again, someone just tops the curb, don't they, a little bit then?
Yeah, absolutely. And we know some of it can get out of shape and so on and so forth, and avoiding a spin. Well, we kind of accept that. But I'm just holding the flag, flying the flag for Pro-Am because pros are being a little bit naughty as well.
Indeed they are. Jamie then running the pace of 1:35s in race pace. That'll probably be good enough for fastest lap, but what he's got to do is pit again, and he's only 6 seconds up the road from Phil and 10 seconds up the road from Peaceful, so you'd imagine he'd come out potentially behind Welshie as well. Actually, looking at the gap, he's got to get a move on us, Jamie, if he is to manage to get anything out of this second race. Is that his championship done with pitting that one lap too early? Joe, currently P3. When does he come into the pits? When does Little Each and Dan come in the pits? Is Little Each 6/10 quicker than Dan on the last lap? So now Craig's been released from Gary. Can he get in some clear air and get his Porsche alongside Dan? If he can take the fight to Dan, well, that may just do Gary a favour.
Absolutely, yes, indeed, it could well do, and we'll see how it pans out. Smithy in the chat saying an awful lot actually, but the last comment being agreed, triple exclamation mark. Agreed with what? You agreed with what I'm saying?
For you flying the flag for Pro-Am, I imagine.
Well, I think so. I'd like to hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, just confirm that, Smithy. Is your chatty as chatty tonight? So that's Sooty doing his.
Andy's back in the pits again.
Yeah, Andy's back in the pits again.
Oh, what a shame. What a shame.
He's managed to slow it down, though. He managed to slow it down before he came into the pits. Quick stop, that one. I don't know what that's all about. But hey-ho, he's in and out.
Yes, Jamie's now up to 6th place, so he's got to make sure... Jamie's got to pit again here. I'm adamant of it. I'm adamant he pitted at the end of lap 6 and not lap 7. So he's still got to make his mandatory stop. Although the game will recognise it as he's done it. Obviously, the rules and regulations say if you pit before the mandatory pit window, you've got to pit again to complete your mandatory stop then. Little Each has closed the gap to
Down
Dan,
to
and
the
that
pits.
is why. Daniel in the pit lane then. So how good a stop is this? And now, is the tactic go as long as you can, Craig, to keep Dan at bay? Oh, it's not a great. It's not their best stop, is it?
No, it's not normal shake and bake
Now
kind of stop.
where's Gary? Joe comes into the pits as well. Where's Gary?
Last corner.
Oh,
or second to last corner.
This
in the
could be
last
tight.
He's done. Yeah, he's done it. And it's enough, isn't it? It's enough. He was 2 seconds behind when. Yeah, it's going to be close.
Dan's got to make sure he gets he's got to brake right into the first corner because Gary, I tell you what,
is up to speed.
Is a lot closer.
That was I tell you what, for future reference, the undercut works here, doesn't it?
It does work here. Gary got the undercut of Dan in the first race. You did well in your undercut last night. And Gary, is he going to sooty sand one up the inside?
No,
it's Dan's
line.
Yeah.
Dan's line again, isn't
I
it?
think, though, you're better off, I think if Gary just commits to that, I think Dan has to stay wider and Gary gets the job done. He's going to look for his move he made earlier on Dan and can't get it done, a bit too far back. Jamie now up to P4 but has to pit again. Monkey Boy has pitted now as well. The only person left to pit is Sooty Apex, is Little Each, out in the lead. Now, how much of a nuisance does Little Each become in this race?
We will see. Gary, I think, knows that he's got to attack Dan on this first lap. Those tyres will just cool off a little bit, and the Porsche's usually just a little bit of a handful when you come out of the pits. And Gary's going to know this, and so's Dan. And looks like Gary's looking racy again. I said Gary sounded a bit downbeat and whatever, but yeah, he's looking racy right now.
He is looking racy right now, and with his brother out in the lead, can his brother get the jump on Dan by overcutting? Can he become a nuisance when they do make their pit stops? Dan can't make one error at the minute because Gary is right on the back of him, and here's where you can't make the error. Out the last corner and through the first corner then. Gary has just dropped off Dan a little bit. Dan got a good run out that last corner, and Gary's just too far behind here to score some good, to make that move into turn one. But how late is Gary on the brakes? He's putting one up the inside to make Dan have a think. And just watch your mirrors, Dan, but went deep.
Yeah, slightly deep, wasn't he? He was gaining on him, just overshot it a little bit. And the opportunity that we think might be here, Gary's missed for this lap. So is that it? Has Dan got his tyres up to speed, and is he going to pull away?
We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So the other fight that's going on track is these pair.
Yeah, the Acoras.
It's the Team Dynamics wannabes going round in the Acora. Again, corner cut, and that is the wrong side of the curb, guys.
That was both of them as well. There, there's no grass. There's no grass there to cut, so there's no need for you to be cutting that part of the track. Cut this one. Look, there's a bit of grass there for you to cut. But yeah, Sooty.
No grass there to cut.
I think Phil may hold station here with Sooty on double points.
Yeah, probably. And it would make sense, doesn't it?
Team points at the end of the day, isn't it? And
yeah. One of the things that I like, and certainly other people that I race with in the Pro-Am thing, is we like the team game. Do you know what I mean? And it's great. Me and Nicky get on absolutely brilliantly, and
when you're not hitting each other
and work well together. Sorry,
when you're not hitting each other at Silverstone.
Yeah. We're only giving you something to talk about. And that wasn't the only time anyway. You missed the other one that was before that. But me and Nicky get on really well, and we work together to try and get the best outcome we can. And we love this team game. Do you know what I mean? It's great stuff. So it is definitely one of the good things about Simplay and how it's run, for sure.
Peaceful Explosion, just to say why we were saying that, not far off the back of these two. He's quite a way back, but he's only 4.2 off the back of Phil, so can he get on the rear of Phil later in this race? Now, the gap between Dan and Little Each has just dipped under 21 seconds, but that goes back up Gary there. White lines, mate, white lines. But looked a bit closer to Dan before he ran a bit wide there.
Yeah, the white lines denote the edge of the track, so Martin Brundle says. That is the hard and fast rule. Formula One drivers completely ignore that, and it would seem that
in all fairness,
completely ignore that as well.
In all fairness, FIA stewards at times completely ignore that.
Yes, you're quite right. Track limits is a is an ongoing subject for everywhere, really, isn't it? You know,
doesn't
in all
matter about the
types of
motorsport, as Andy has gone into the pits again and has again fell foul.
And he hasn't slowed it down.
Yeah, now what is happening with that Ginetta tonight? Why is it?
I don't know.
I mean, Welshie in race 1 was in the pits about 5 times. Andy's been in the pits 3 times now already. Welshie now up to 10th place. But Little Each here just increasing that gap a little bit. Now, has Dan just... I don't know. Gary's closer to Dan at the minute. There you go. That is how close Gary is to Dan. So, has Dan made a little mistake somewhere? Has Gary just been on it 7 tenths quicker last lap? And Dan doesn't want to watch his mirrors like he was to Jamie in race 1 because he's got Gary right up the front of him. Now, Gary quite close here as we've lost Andy. And
he's retired.
Yeah, he didn't get to 3/4 distance, so Andy has retired from the race, and that will be a retirement. No points scored. He needed to do at least another lap to get a point on the board there.
The way poor old Andy's going on, I'll see him in Pro-Am soon enough. And he'll just do another Fury in that one.
Well, hopefully the restructure for next year. There may not be a promotion relegation.
Apparently so. There is a restructuring talks. Is there not, or done or something?
There is a restructure. Yeah, there is a restructure in talks to sort of balance out in order to balance out both leagues to make the Pro-Am a bit fairer for all. For like yourself, Kelly, who is fed up of finishing 4th place to 3 quick drives. Although you didn't last night, but you know when BT Target, X-Smart and Fury are on it, they're on it, aren't they?
Yeah, well, there was no BT last night. BT's in a different class to Pro-Am. X-Smart is there as well, now, really. You know, but yeah.
Sorry to butt in there. Yep. Gary's looking strong. Yeah. Gary's looking very strong. Now, he's really close to Dan here. This is where you keep saying, Kelly, that you've got to be close to the car in front. Yeah. Gary is super close to Dan. And is this where we could see a manoeuvre? Jamie's still P4, but has to pit again. We are sure of that one. Look at Gary then. He's getting on the tail of Dan. He's going to look now. He now pulls one way. Dan moves back across in front of Gary. And does Gary brake later? No, he doesn't. No, he tucks back in there. And I tell you what, Dan jinked one way and then the other, and I thought he nearly outbraked himself. And has he made a mistake on the curve?
Yeah, he got up on the curve a little bit, lost the back end slightly, gave Gary another sniff. It's Dan keeps showing Gary little opportunities, and he isn't able to capitalise on them. I may have said it before, don't overtake in turn 1. It's so difficult to do. But it's the best line, you know. It's just, you get that run off the last corner and you get so much momentum in the slip. It's just so tempting to do it, but it is so precarious.
It is.
So precarious.
We say a massive good evening to a bit of a friend of ours. We've not seen him for a while. Ben Phelan, evening to you in the chat. Not been here since season 1. He's apparently returning for season 4 as well. She stays right out the way, so that denies Gary any chance of overtaking, but does it as he has a look into the chicane and tucks back behind Dan. Now, Gary just popping out here and there, Kelly, is making Dan think, is he going to make this manoeuvre? What's he going to do here? What's he going to do there? Dan, although he doesn't want to watch his mirrors, may have to start looking at them a bit more.
Well, it's a carbon copy of race 1, except they're the other way round, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? And now it's Gary doing the attacking, and again, just a Brondalism. You're either giving pressure or taking pressure, and Gary was taking the pressure in race 1. Now he's giving it. So
he was indeed. Dan got a great run out that final corner and has just extended his gap to Gary a little bit there. It's a great run. Little Each, they've not really caught Little Each at all. Gary a bit slower than Dan on that last lap, so that will explain a few things. Goes a bit deep into turn 1 again, and Gary, track limits, mate.
Yeah, track limits. White line denotes the edge of the track. He had plenty to say about it last night as well, Gary.
Yes, Gary, watching you.
Yeah, watching you, Gary. People in glass houses and all that.
Yeah, Little Each still leading, says Smithy. Indeed he is, by 20.5 seconds as well. Little Each at the minute lapping quicker than Dan, but not really extending because it's ebbing and flowing between these two. How far in front is he, please? My screen is too small to see. He's 21.2 seconds, Smithy.
I've been waiting all night for you to say ebbing and flowing, and there it is. It took most of the evening. It's 10 o'clock at night, and you before you said it. But
another one of your favourites of mine, Kelly. Ebbing and flowing. You love the stats. You love the ebbing and flowing.
It's a Duffinism.
Yes,
a Duffinism.
I've made it.
Got a Duffinism.
I've made it, Murray.
Yeah. It's Murray and Martin, and now there's you.
Yep. You'll see me. You'll see me soon. Purchase Sky Sports F1 because you'll see me on there soon. Not a Sky Sports F1, not a sponsor, but purchase it because I'll be there doing the Formula One soon.
Yeah. You and me. Well, I was gonna. I'm at Silverstone this weekend, so I was gonna go and pull Crofty out of the box and do it properly for him. Do you know what I mean? But yeah.
I tell you what, just video call me over the phone, and I'll do it through that with you.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll just share play it or something. You know.
Gary then just dropping off the back of Unorthodox a little bit here. Welshie for driver of the day, says Aidan Bennett. Gary there. What happened there?
I don't know. He just
lost a lot of time. Dan's gained a bit
Yeah.
of time over Little Leach here. Little Leach still having to pit, let's not forget, and he's not really anywhere to help Gary out at the moment. He needs a stellar pit stop. This man still has to pit as well.
Yeah. Yes, so we believe. And he's. I was going to say, look, he's dragged himself back to P4, which isn't such a bad result. But if he does have to pit again, and you're adamant that he has to pit again,
he pitted. Dan was on lap 7 when Jamie pitted. Now Jamie was behind Dan, so for Jamie to have pitted at the end of lap 7, Dan would have been on lap 8. So I think Jamie's pitted at the end of lap 6. I'm adamant, because Gary came in at the end of lap 7 when Dan was on lap 8. So yeah, I think Jamie's got to stop again. He stopped a lap too early for me, and we've lost. Who have we lost there? We've lost another one.
I don't know, somebody. Peaceful? No. Yeah, Peaceful.
Yes, Peaceful.
It is Peaceful.
Oh, we've lost Peaceful
absolutely.
Explosion. Now he would have got to 3/4 distance, so he will score points for 10th place. What a shame. I hope we can get. I hope I can speak to him to get a reaction. Little Leach is in the pits. It's not a bad stop, that one.
Not bad at all. Dan's going to clear him.
Yeah, it's not enough. Dan's going to clear him. You'd imagine Gary will clear him as well. But yeah, Dan's massively cleared him, and Gary's going to do the same thing. So Little Leach will come out P3. Jamie's not in sight in the background, and if you ask me, Jamie's going to pick himself up a hefty time penalties. He's got to pit again, like we've just been saying. But it looks like the Leachy Legends, good points over Dan tonight, over the Shake and Bake boys tonight. Are they bringing themselves back into the constructors' fight? But at the minute,
absolutely. With D Biggs missing, he's already camped at Silverstone. We had a little chat on Facebook earlier. We're going to try and find each other. There's only 140,000 other people going this weekend, so I'm sure we'll bump into each other. As well as Liam, who's there as well. I'm looking forward to meeting those guys. But D Biggs not being here. Because D Biggs would have been in the fight, and he's one of those rare drivers that likes this track.
Yeah, no, he is. He says he doesn't like Laguna Seca. Kept losing the back end, had too much damage, didn't want to get in the way for the title, says Peaceful. So he's retired from the race. And yeah, you're right. D Biggs is one that likes this track. Doesn't like Laguna Seca. So not looking good for next week. But
a lot of people like Laguna as well. I mean, I like the track. I mean, we're not going to have any corner cutting issues with Laguna Seca because it's all the runoff is gravel. Like it's complete jeopardy, and you put a wheel on it and you're in trouble. So we will see. We'll see who's the consistent ones next week when we go to Laguna, but firm favourite from most people, actually. I haven't spoke to anyone who doesn't like Laguna. Now probably in the chat I'll get it like, I hate Laguna all the way through the chat now. You see now I've mentioned it, but it's
Dan then on lap 19. Get your voting for driver of the day. Dan on lap 19. There's Gary, 1.5 seconds. So Dan cannot make a mistake this lap, otherwise he'll have Gary on the back of him. Pulled a couple of tenths actually in that corner, did Gary? That balances itself out now. In fact, he still probably gained a tenth or two on the exit of the corner. Dan, is he just cruising home, or is he starting to struggle? Because Gary Gary gaining. I mean, he's probably not taking that line, but Gary gaining a few tenths here.
Yeah. I mean, it might be a little bit too late, to be fair. I think Dan's got this one in hand. If Gary comes up behind him, where's he going to overtake him? Do you know what I mean? If he got up to him, catching's one thing and passing's another.
Passing's another, so, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a Murrayism, that one. It's as I said, if he cruises up behind him, what's he going to do with it? So I think Dan's got this one covered off, to be honest. Driver of the day. That's
Gary in the background had a huge wiggle on the curb and had to take to the track and had a huge moment where he nearly lost the rear of the car in the background. Jamie Bracey then facing investigation for pitting too early. So what a shame for Jamie, but it is going to be another win for unorthodox at Simplay. He's going to take the checkered flag, and that is going to be another race win for him. 5 more points over Gary 131, who takes a second place. Good set of podiums for Gary at the moment. Little Each is going to take a P3. Now, for the time being, Jamie P4, but I think he's got to give that. I think he's going to get a penalty for pitting too early. Rabbit Joe, what a second race he had for P5, or it will be P5.
Yeah, best of the rest for Rabbit Joe. Let's not take it away. The 4 guys in front are the quickest boys on the track, and Little Each is equally as good as the other 3, but the other 3 in the championship
bit of
thing.
Oh, there, look.
Yeah, a bit of teamwork there. Nice one. We like to see those things. But yeah, Rabbit Joe, best of the rest, really. But we're waiting for his first pro win and or podium. So we'll see. The Hondas, they were
in
doing
unison yet again.
Yeah, yet again.
And who takes the fastest lap? Jamie Brazier, 35.6, fastest of anybody, then especially over Dan there then. But like we say, pending investigation potentially over when he pitted. What a shame for Jamie Brazier if that is the case. We're going to try and get Little Each, Gary and Dan back in, so we'll add the fastest lap there for Jamie. And then Kelly, final thoughts on today while I just sort the league tables out.
Le Mans, as said, most of the people that I chatted to didn't like the track. Most of us weren't looking forward to it, and it was delayed another week. So, but all in all, a good round at Le Mans, and certainly a track for the future. If we don't like it, it certainly serves up some great racing. And we're getting the guys in the party now. I presume we're going to have a few words with them, are we?
Yeah, we will do. We will do in just a moment. Leachy Legends, though, have gained an extra 10 points over Shake and Bake, so that gap is down to 45 points there. So that Constructors' title still firmly on with 276 points left to play with. 156 points left in the title, and Gary's now 14 behind Dan. Jamie's moved himself up into 3rd, but 38 points behind him. Biggs and Little Each 5th and 6th respectively. Peaceful and Monkey Boy stay with it. Sutty goes ahead of Emo Guy, while Rabbit Joe as well stays there. Phil goes ahead of that Bozzy Boy by a point, and Welshie goes ahead of Disco McDisco Face in this one. But we'll start with Little Each. And Craig, great pace out there. Did you have to hold station a little bit behind Gary for a bit of that race?
Can we come to him last? I think he's occupied at this precise moment.
Right, yeah, no worries. So, Gary, then we'll start with you. A race 2 which you had Dan, you lost Dan, you had Dan again, you lost him again. It really ebbed and flowed.
Yeah, I seemed to got a good start there. I altered the setup slightly in first half of the race, so it was brilliant. And then in the second half of the race, it didn't, just lacked a bit of grip, but we got what we wanted, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, pulled some good points back over Shake and Bake tonight, and that's the main thing as well, isn't it? Not just the drivers, but the teams as well.
No, teams is priority at the moment, so let's try and get it back next week.
What can you do next week? Are you a fan of Laguna Seca?
Yeah, I don't mind Laguna, to be fair. It's a technical circuit, but it's nice. It's better than this anyway, let's put it that way.
well done tonight, mate. Great driving. We'll speak with Dan. Dan, another race win for yourself. That's race win number 10 here at Simplay Motorsport, and a good job tonight. Gary, though, in that race 2 put you under a bit more pressure than he did in race 1.
Yeah, exactly what I needed from this weekend. Could have done with another race win, but as long as I outscored the Leachy Legends, then I've done my job here this evening. So I'll tell you what, I don't know about the rest of the guys, but this is going to be an epic end to the season. Yeah. With Jamie, with Gary, Little Leach as well, just in the background, just being a little bit of a dark horse that I need to keep an eye on, and obviously my teammate D-Biggs. I tell you what, guys, make sure you tune in for Laguna, Dubai and Monza, because this season is going down to the wire. I'm absolutely loving this. Great racing. Loved it.
Now, obviously, tonight you got the job you needed. Jamie and Andy had a little incident. You got the start. Talk us through that first lap, because you ended up on a curb which sometimes will settle the car at turn 1. You had a bit of a shunt with Peaceful after the first couple of corners. Did you think, I'm not going to get out of this?
I did. Well, I had another quick start again, and I got a little bit nervous going up into the banking, and I was on the curb, and I was thinking this could go 2 ways. It could either go brilliantly or it could go horribly wrong. And I was just hoping the brilliantly one was going to happen, and I just kept it within limits. Me and Peaceful had a little rub. I stayed on my natural line. I did know he was there, but if we make contact, I apologise to him, but there was no contended. And the same with Rabbit Joe. He left the door open, and I went for it. I made the slightest of taps of him. I'm apologising that he spun around, but in my opinion, I barely touched him. So
no. It looked nothing more than a racing incident, but you did what you need to do.
It's disgraceful, to be honest with you. Looking from behind, I thought that was terrible.
I thought you would say it.
That was a good move. I'd have done the same, and well done, Rabbit, as well. Good race.
Yeah, massive. Yeah, I've got to top him off as well. He did great for a while, defending me off. He just made that little bit of an opening for me to get him, and that was enough for me to go down the inside. But he did brilliant at the start.
While we're on about Joe, isn't it nice to see? We've had Joe tonight, we had Liam at Silverstone, and he had a good zoo high as well. Isn't it nice to see these guys coming from Pro-Am and now starting to find their feet? Just means that they're growing in that confidence, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, definitely. Especially Liam and Joe. I remember watching them in Pro-Am, and they kept making silly mistakes here, there, and everywhere. But it's just amazing to see these young guys. When they get that good start, they can hold it. It's just they need to learn to deal with the pressure. Once they got that done, they can easily threaten the rest of us at the top. Yeah. So I take my hat off to Liam and Joe. They're doing a fantastic job, and I do hope they kind of stay in pro so they can keep learning and keep developing.
While we just wait for Craig, then Jamie's in here. Jamie, want to grab a quick word with you? What lap did you pit on?
I believe it was lap 6.
Oh dear.
Kelly.
I did have quite bad suspension damage though that the car was crabbing.
That'll be discussed. That'll be discussed later tonight, I imagine. Yeah. And I presume that was from the collision with Andy.
Yeah, it was.
Talk us through that, because on the stream the camera angle wasn't able to give us the best view. It looked, from our view, that you tried to sort of straighten yourself up for the next part of the chicane and caught Andy as he was there. Is that the case, or?
Yeah, I saw Dan and Gary getting away, and I thought I need to get past Andy because he could have been a bit of a roadblock for me. Tried it round the outside, and then I think as he was going to the inside, I was coming to the outside. Yeah, we just met in the middle.
Yeah. Well done tonight, Jamie. Nonetheless, do we have Craig there?
We do.
Craig, stellar performance tonight. I'll ask the question I asked a moment ago. Was you holding station for Gary earlier in that race too? Because you looked like you had a lot more pace than him.
Yeah, I was just sticking behind him. Yeah. He needs the points, really.
That's good of you.
Great points for the team tonight. You've obviously closed that gap to Shake and Bake. Is that the goal, and is that what you was hoping for?
That's it. Just sticking to the constructors.
Laguna, what's your plans for there?
Just score some solid points.
Yeah. Well done tonight, Kelly. Driver of the day from you.
It's a tough one for me. I thought there was some fantastic racing. I agree with Dan. We have got quite a showdown for the end of this race. I think Gary, Dan, Jamie, Craig all drove really, really well. If I had to pick anybody, then I'd probably go with Dan, but only slightly marginal over Gary.
Gary getting a vote from Peaceful Stepdad for driver of the day. I'm going to give mine. And you know what? I'm going to give mine Rabbit Joe because I feel he's had a great second race. Had a cracking, good qualifying, great starting race one, and had a good second race. That's all we've got time for though in this one. Sorry, the missus has just come downstairs with something on her face and it startled me a little bit there. That's all we've got time for though in this one. We're going to be back live tomorrow night with the GTs around Zolder. Can Unorthodox take another win? Can Veilside or the Only G have something to say about that one? We'll be live Monday night with Liam and Jamie for the GT5 finale. 5 points separate the top three. Unorthodox, D-Biggs, myself. Can Dan get his title early to focus on the GT3s, or will the GT3s be haunting him and he speeds in the pit lane or spins in the pit lane once again? And we'll be back live next week for Laguna Seca in the Pro-Am and the Pro Wednesday and Thursday night. But from all of us here at Simplay Motorsport, have a great weekend. Tune in tomorrow night and we'll see you next time.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Lando Norris for the win Sunday.